Welcome to the November 7th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of 2022. Our next meeting and those following also will be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation. So please keep checking the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you with us here tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases located across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor, opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find you're having difficulties accessing the hearing, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you here in the boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. Tonight, board member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us, individuals commenting on a particular application have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure that the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a set date. Those written comments can be addressed to members of the board and sent via email, mail, and or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell, in the building department. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of our October 17th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Revin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay. John, do you want to take us through the agenda?
Yes. So number 5 on the agenda. B. Circ 40 Waters Edge LLC, 40 Waters Edge Road.
I don't have to read the whole thing, right?
Yes.
To adjourn it? Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, that's right. Sorry. B. Circ 40 Waters Edge LLC, 40 Waters Edge Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-62-1-59. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. For 1, Section 330-84D, height pyramid. 1, for proposed two-story dwelling, a pyramid encroachment of 1,204 cubic feet on the north side of the property, and 2, for a proposed attached carport on the south side of the dwelling, a pyramid encroachment of 175 cubic feet. 2, 330-11 Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations. 1, for a proposed porch on the west side of the property, a front yard setback of 40.2 feet where 49.2 feet is pre-existing, and 2, for a proposed porch on the east side of the property, a front yard setback of 48.4 feet where 55.2 feet is required, and 3, Section 330-11, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards for a proposed in-ground swimming pool to be located within the required front yard, a front yard setback of 31.1 feet where a minimum of 70 feet is required and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
I move to adjourn this application to 11/21.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Number 10 on the agenda, application of Andrew Brandman and Kira Brandman, 57 Waters Edge Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-62-1-16. I move to adjourn this application to 12/5.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Number 11 on the agenda, Wilderness Trail JV LLC, landlocked North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-79-1-33. I move to adjourn this application to January 16.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Number 14 on the agenda, the application of Gary Fitterman, 645 Dune Road, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-391-2-25.1. I move to adjourn this application to January 16th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Number 16 on the agenda, seeker resolution in the application of Wilderness Trail JV LLC, landlocked North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-79-1-33. I move to adjourn this seeker resolution to January 16th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Okay, on the decision calendar, decision in the application of Ronette Riley, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-53-1-38.2. I move to reopen this application.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Repin.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair
I move
votes
to re-advertise the application of Ronette Riley for the December 5th meeting.
What's that?
Do we vote on that?
No.
Okay.
Wait, did we advertise or just decision?
It's a re-add and we don't vote on it. Okay. All right, we're going back to the beginning of the agenda.
Okay, number 1 on the agenda, the application of Wayne R. Strong, 15 Pine Neck Avenue, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-4-3-53. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Section 330-84 height pyramid for a proposed total pyramid encroachment of 2,122 cubic feet on the south side encroachment. Existing 858 cubic feet, proposed additional 158 cubic feet. North side encroachment, existing 936 cubic feet, proposed additional 170 cubic feet, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. You pass that to Susan.
Sure.
Come on up if you're here for the application.
Are either of you attorneys?
No.
Okay, then I'll need to swear you in. No, go ahead, you say. We're not that formal. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please individually state your name and addresses.
So do you want our address here, like
Yes.
Sharon Strong, 15 Pine Neck Avenue, Noyak.
Okay,
Wayne Strong. The Connecticut address, as per the application, is 30 Minister Brook Drive in Simsbury, Connecticut. I am the current owner, along with my wife, for the property at 15 Pine Neck Avenue.
okay, okay, great. So tell us about your application.
Did you swear them in?
Pardon me?
Did you swear them
I
in?
did.
Okay.
Before they did their names and addresses.
We are good. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. As I stated, my wife and I are the present owners of the property where we're seeking pyramid relief on that. We come before you, Matt Ivins, who has assisted me from South Fork Environmental, had filed my application, which you have, along with some necessary other backup paper. To give you a little bit of history, my grandparents started coming out here in the 1920s. And after being out here so many years, my grandmother built a house which we are applying for this relief in 1958. Currently, it's in an R10 zoning. The property is 9,267 square feet, a little bit smaller than a quarter of an acre. It's an existing one-story, single-family dwelling with a deck that is surrounded or surrounds an existing tree. What we are proposing to do is to keep the existing structure, the footprint of the building, the house. And what we want to do is on the west side, where there are two existing dormers with one window, make it a little bit larger and replicate that also on the east side based upon the documents that the architect has furnished this board for review. Part of the other things Matt Ivins had presented was the certificate of occupancy from 1958. Also, too, my father and I built the deck in 1972, and consequently, then we filed for other necessary papers from the county and the town, of which we have already received a letter of non-jurisdiction. So we are seeking, as you had previously have before you, the pyramid relief per code section 330-84D for 328 cubic feet, which is keeping within the confines. We are not raising the roof. The elevation between the footprint that the architect has to the top of the existing ridge line is a little bit more than 21 feet. So we're not raising the roof. We are keeping the new dormers such that they fit within the actual ridge line. And as stated in the form, in the agenda, all of those figures are correct on that. In the determination that Matt Ivins had done, taking a look at the zoning board determination map, there were 47 properties that were studied within the defined neighborhood. 18 of the properties were granted some form of relief for a total of 23 variances. Of the 23 variances, 7 were for pyramid relief. Other items of importance: would this variance be substantial? No. Based upon the 7 that have already been granted, the last one was my adjoining neighbor who put on an addition, tore down the original house, and was granted a variance release of 5,300 cubic feet on that, which also is part of the documents that you have on there of the actual neighborhood, the surrounding, and when the board had granted these variances. Further impact, environmental, there's no impact anticipated for the proposed second-story addition, and hopefully, because we are within the existing footprint of the house, not going above any elevation per the town codes, that you will grant us this variance on that. We've also discussed with our neighbors and had sent out, Matt had, which has been documented to the surrounding neighbors. None so far, to my knowledge, have come back and have all been very positive that this house and its changes will only enhance the neighborhood and what we are planning to do. Back in 1958, it was probably the standard of the one-story cape to be of that particular size and shape. Times have changed. My wife and I are looking to move out here permanently now that we are retired. But before we can do that, we need your assistance for this variance to go ahead with the architectural changes. It's for this reason we appreciate your time this evening and your consideration to review the documents before you so that we may go forward. And I'm here to try to, in Matt's absence, answer any of your questions that you may have.
This is mine, and I met you this afternoon at your property. It's a lovely location. So what is the total additional request for pyramid relief? I didn't add it up.
According
so
to what the architect had also put, the documents that I had
it's
seen.
328?
Three actual, 328.
Okay.
And that also part of the documents of the submitted architectural plans The first drawing that I have is P1, which is pyramid relief. And it's also noted on both sides of the request and what was non-conformance back in 1958.
I went to the property. It's lovely. It slopes down to the water. It is, the dormers are being added in the back of the house on their, what's front yard, but it's really the rear of the house. It's not going to affect anything in the neighborhood. It's very much in keeping with the style of the neighborhood. And it's within the footprint, it's within the height, it's, you know, it's really just a small addition to what is an existing encroachment, pyramid encroachment, but it is, in my opinion, incredibly minimal. Does anybody else have a question about
I
it?
generally agree with everything you just said.
Okay.
As do I.
I just have a question. Okay, so you're saying there's an existing encroachment into the pyramid. Is that the roof of the house as it stands prior to doing
Yes.
any work?
Yes.
Okay, so then the work that you're gonna do is gonna add the additional like
328.
300 some
Right.
odd.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
that was
No.
all
And
that
this
on the
house was
record.
built in 1958, so, yeah. Okay, if there's no more questions, I will move to hold this open for written comments. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there, yes, thank you. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had a meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on the application of 15 Pine Neck Avenue?
Did you say that you had a letter of non-jurisdiction from the Conservation Board?
From the town of Southampton.
Yeah.
And that should have been part of the documents that you have before you. This is dated, if I could find the date. Letter of non-jurisdiction pertinent to chapter 325 for wetlands. Along with the survey, this is dated, date authorized was May 14th,
Does anybody
2024.
have that?
I don't have that. We need to get that. That should be,
Could you submit that, or could I have that copy, or could you submit it another at a
Yeah.
later date?
yeah. It's not in the packet of materials that we have, but we
Oh.
should definitely have that.
Okay, that's, you have another one of that, right?
Is it okay if I take
Yes,
this?
no, please, no,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
Some of the original materials. Okay, if there's no objections, I would like to move that we hold this application open for written comments until 11/22 with a decision on 12/5.
Second.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay,
Thank
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Members of
much.
the
Number
board.
2 on the agenda, the application of Scott Levinson, 1 Hildreth Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-151-1-1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Section 330-6, General Regulation, that references 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for proposed pool for distance from street from 90 feet to 63.54 feet from Upper Red Creek Road and from 90 feet to 31.72 feet from Hildreth Road for proposed pool deck for distance from street from 90 feet to 45.2 feet from Upper Red Creek Road and from 90 feet to 27.5 feet from Hildreth Road for a proposed south deck from 90 feet to 5.8 feet from Hildreth Road for the proposed conversion of a detached garage and open breezeway to habitable space, relief of 330-115C continuance 29.02 feet to 7.4 feet. Additionally, relief of 330-76D, placement of accessory structures, and relief of 330-83C yards for placement of the pool and pool deck in a required front yard and a hot tub in a required side yard, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to John Leonard, please?
Are you an attorney?
No, I am not.
Okay, so let me swear. This goes to John Leonard.
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Nicholas Vera, architect, 120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, for the owner, Scott Levison. Good evening, board members. so there's a lot going on with this piece of property, as you can see. The general gist of this application originally started out, Mr. Levinson was looking to build a pool in his rear yard. And due to the nature and the size of the property and the shape of the property, and then the presence of wetlands to the southeast of his property, off his property, we had to go before the Conservation Board to seek relief of anything to do on this piece of property. So as you can see from the survey that we submitted, there is extensive wetlands just on the east side of his property, on the south side of his house. So the Conservation Board granted us approval to build a swimming pool on the other side of the house. Also, we needed to, with the extent of the nature of the second floor addition, which basically was adding another bedroom up on the second floor, it's the main bedroom, we had to go to the health department. And again, because of Conservation Board setbacks, they required that septic system to be on the other side of the house, at least 125 feet away from the wetlands. So between the house and the pool is the septic system that you see that was approved by the Suffolk County Board of Health. So that kind of pushed that swimming pool back a little bit further towards Upper Creek Road and obviously Hildreth Road because, you know, the property is so narrow. If, in fact, there was no wetlands on this property, and we were looking to propose a pool in a rear yard, would still be before this board because there's no way that we would meet the requirements of the front yard setback from Hildreth Road because we are a corner piece of property. So that being said, the proposal is for that swimming pool, some decking around the pool, in the front yard of Hildreth Road and Upper Creek Road in order to build a swimming pool. Compounding the problem, we would have liked to have had, instead of a deck, a patio at grade rather than an elevated deck. The requirements of the Conservation Board makes us pull a swimming pool out above groundwater at least 2 feet to the bottom of the pool. So we are still proposing a relatively shallow pool, but the pool has to be elevated to, I believe our elevation of our deck is 8.5 feet. We're grade around our property in the front is approximately 6 feet. So we're going to be sticking out of the pool, out of the ground with our deck a couple of feet. And that's, you know, part of the proposal also. We have an existing one-car garage on the property that is not used for anything other than storage. It's not big enough to be a one-car garage. So Mr. Levison is proposing that we convert that space into habitable space, along with enclosing the breezeway, which is the main entrance to his house on the side of the property on the Hildreth Road side, and converting that to living space. So again, I think that's what the continuance is, to convert that space into living space. One of the things that I did back off after reviewing the application with Candace and Art Gerhauser in the building department is we were going to reconstruct the roof, but that would have constituted a pyramid variance, so we took that off the table. So at least we have one less request that we're looking for, so if that helps any. As far as I know, there's an existing hot tub and a deck on the side yard that was the property existed like that before Mr. Levinson purchased that property. So we're looking to legalize that that deck and that hot tub, which is on the east side of the property, just along the house. And again, that was also approved by the Conservation Board. Conservation Board also made us requested that we clean up some of the things that existed on the property. There's a frame shed that had to be removed. There was an arbor that has to be removed. And that shows on my site plan, which I believe last dated is 4/3/24, prepared by me, Nicholas Vera, architect, that shows some more naturally vegetated buffers. There's some plantings that we had to do based on the requirements of the Conservation Board. So the whole rear of that property would be cleaned up as per the Conservation Board, which I believe you should have in front of you. I believe the last thing on this is Mr. Levinson, being that we're looking to put a pool in the front yard, wanted to have a place that, you know, he can watch his kids off the house, off the front deck. So there's a corner of that property, or the corner of that deck that required a front yard variance from Hildreth Road as part of that, as part of our application. I think those are the requests that are being made. I think I have addressed, you know, the alternatives on this piece of property. There really are none because of the presence of the wetlands off the property. I did state that if we were looking to put a pool in rear yard, if there was no wetlands, we'd still be before this board for, you know, a variance or two. That's the only place that we can put a pool on this piece of property. Obviously, if you've been to the property, I don't know who's been to the property, but we did get a building permit to do the work on the second floor addition, which did not require any variances, if you could believe that. So we do have a permit for some of the work that's being done right now at the front porch to an extent that was allowed with setbacks and not having come before this board for any additional variances. So that's the gist of our application.
Sean, this is yours. Do you want to start us off?
Yes, the only question I really have, I mean, this all looks to me like it's a highly constrained lot. There's wetlands issues, you've got the septic system where it's placed. I, went by and it's not obtrusive from the road. Yeah, exactly, thank you. The only thing I couldn't find is this 90 feet to 45.2 feet for the proposed pool deck distance from the street and from Upper Red Creek Road. Where is that shown on the survey?
It's
So
like the arc.
What?
Yeah,
There's an arc
is it-
over the 63.2.
right, that's correct, right.
There's an
And
arc
so-
over the, hold
Right,
on.
go ahead and show us.
Yeah,
what that is.
Just
So,
show
okay,
us
so
where
you're
it
looking
is.
for, again, tell me what you're looking for from Red Creek Road.
So there's a
Oh, here.
reduction from 90 feet to 45.2 feet from Upper Red Creek Road for
Okay.
the proposed pool
So
deck.
if you look at the upper right-hand portion of the property where the
I
two,
see the 60.
okay, you see 63, right above that is
3.54.
45.2,
Right.
okay? And then there's 63.2 to the pool.
Okay.
And there's 63.2 to the pool.
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's right
right
in that
next
same
to it.
area, right next to it, one on top of the other.
I don't have that on the survey.
No, you're looking at my site plan. Please look at the survey. That's prepared by Secretarial Land Survey.
Hold on. Let me see if I
Apologize.
have it here. I don't believe I have it. Yeah, I never got that. So,
I'm sorry.
It's stamped and approved by the Conservation Board. It might be right after the Conservation Board permit.
yeah, it's not in my package. Okay, I see.
Would you like another one? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure it was on the survey.
You want it?
Um,
I have a ton of them. I pay
Okay.
for them, so
okay.
I pay better.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So that answers your question there, and then
That's the only thing I had.
Okay.
Because I really think this is for the property, a somewhat modest application.
Can I just ask a couple of questions?
Please.
The hot tub, you
Yes.
said that that's pre-existing?
Yes, as far as I know, it's pre-existing. When I came to visit this house for the first time, Mr. Levison had just purchased.
Do you
the
have
house.
a CO for that?
No, there is no CO for that, so I think it was done prior to, and I think being whatever deal that was made when he closed on this property, and this was during COVID, it's probably a cash deal, so.
Okay. The other thing is, you said you had a site plan for vegetation, so where is that in your packet
So
here?
I have a site plan. I thought you had my site plan because Mr. Leonard was looking at the site plan.
Yes.
So
Well, where is it? What number is it?
Okay, so it's my SO1 drawing.
Okay, just let's find it. Okay.
What are you asking about,
Okay.
Susan?
I'm asking about the vegetation that he's proposing. Okay, so, all right, got it.
Okay, so yeah, everything, there were all the structures that were taken down, including there was a gravel driveway back there, and so you can see where the limits of clearing was, where the easement is, where our natural non-disturbance buffer is, okay, but within there was some structures there that the Conservation Board made us take down, and Marty Shea asked us to replant that, so that is on that drawing.
Okay.
It's pretty extensive.
Is there anything that you're planting to protect or hide the pool on Upper Red Creek Road?
Well, yeah, I would propose, and I think I put that in my application, that we're gonna hedge the entire property so you don't see it. And I think as Mr. Leonard pointed out, that property does slope down a little bit, so, even though if we do, 5-foot high evergreens,
Right,
arborvitae's,
right.
whatever, you won't see that.
Okay, so that is something that you would be willing to stick with?
Absolutely. We would stick with it.
Okay.
100%.
Is there anybody else? Yes?
I have a couple of comments. So, I live in the Hampton Bays, I visited the site, the pool's going essentially right where there's a dip, as you know. I hate the idea of a pool in the front yard. I really do. And I hate it more that you're basically either building in a whole pile, you're building a berm around the pool and a deck on top, and then the whole thing is getting screened when the character of Upper Red Creek Road is natural vegetation, houses set back pretty well, pretty modest all around, and we're trying to shoehorn something that is an accessory an accessory use in a yard that in most other neighborhoods we would say this is a crazy idea. Why would we put a pool in the front yard of a house? So that's the first problem I'm having. And then as to the design, you have your new septic system going out close to the house, which forces the pool to go further toward Upper Red Creek Road. I don't know if the health department really cares that the Fuji system has to go exactly in that location, and that if you flip those two locations, maybe that would work better, require less fill, maybe fit better in with the main impact area of the main structure, and just be less intrusive further toward Upper Red Creek Road. So those are generally my reactions. I understand you have some constraints, but sometimes not everything can fit on a lot that has other constraints, and there's a physics question of how much space can you fit on a lot this size with its constraints. So those are my thoughts. That's how I feel.
May I just comment on it?
Please.
With reference to health department. You may or may not know, I'm sure you do know, there are certain setbacks from septic system to pool, septic system to water lines, septic system to electric lines. Look at how narrow the property is. And we did try that. We tried to flip the septic system onto the other side of the pool. It was impossible because of the setbacks. 20 feet to the pool. Because the property does dip down there, it would have been an extensive amount of fill to bring in. Right now, you made a comment, we're not bringing any fill around that swimming pool, okay? The conservation board.
But you're elevating.
We're elevating only with deck, but not with fill. We're not allowed to bring fill to the property. That's one thing. We could navigate getting around that swimming pool without going for a variance of the health department, which my experience is, been there, done that. Probably would not get it because they would say, well, that's where the septic system should be. That's the location. So that's kind of what is dictating.
What did the health department tell you? They wouldn't. You said you tried to flip, and
it's too far away from the house, and I need 20 feet away from the pool to the septic system.
I know.
All components of the septic.
I understand that
and then
where it is.
Water line and the waste line to the pool. So that's why it was virtually impossible to flip that. Okay, so that's why. This is where we're, and again, look at the narrowness of the piece of property. There's 49,000 square feet here, but the property at its widest is barely 100 feet wide. So
It has two front yards.
it basically has two front yards. So, the
That's
setbacks
the biggest
implode
thing
and
they'll
everything.
keep
So,
control.
but did my client want the pool in the front yard? As I stated before, no. We wanted the backyard, but there are other restrictions here. So,
And what are the other restrictions in the backyard?
well, the backyard restrictions are those wetlands.
Oh, the
It's
wetlands,
all-
right, you have to be
it's
so
all
far from it.
wetlands.
All right, okay, okay.
There is no setback on the
Yeah,
rear yard,
okay.
as you can see.
Anybody else from the board wish to comment? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application 1 Hildreth Road? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 1 Hildreth Road? Helen, I didn't look up. Did you have any comments?
Well, I also visited the property, and I concur in many of the comments made by Mr. McDonald.
Okay. Okay. So, so there are a couple of board members who are not pleased with the location of a pool in the front yard, which we definitely are never pleased with. But I think this is a very constrained piece of property, and I'm personally not opposed to granting this with the proper vegetation and protections. Is there anybody else who wishes to comment on this at this time?
I agree with you.
I do too.
Yeah, me also. I thought it was pretty well thought out.
Okay. All right. If there's no other people to comment, John, you want to make a
Yes, I move to close the close the hearing on this application, hold it open for written submissions to November 22nd with a decision on 12/5.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Maximilian.
Aye.
Mr. Revan.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Number 3 on the agenda, Bebop Cottage LLC, 12 Birch Street, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-5-4-15.5. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code, section for a proposed one-story addition to Section 330-6 General Regulations that references Section 330-11 Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for lot coverage from the existing 21.5 feet to 22.5 feet. Also relief from Town Code Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a sky plane encroachment of 98 cubic feet to the north, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass this to Julie?
Thanks.
What's
that?
Minor?
Pyramid. For the applicant,
Pass this.
Robert Marcinsic, O'Shea Marcinsic and Bruin, 250 North Sea Road, Southampton. Good evening. The subject property is located on the east side of Birch Street, approximately 275 feet north of Noyak Road in Noyak. It's comprised of 5,000 square feet and is located in an R10 zoning district. Therefore, the lot is non-conforming as the lot area. The lot was created in connection with variance number 302, granted by the Southampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals in 1959, when at the time the zoning board had the authority to subdivide property and create lots. A copy of that decision is attached as Exhibit A in the exhibit packet that you all should have, along with a copy of the Pine Neck subdivision map, which lot numbers in the subdivision are referenced as part of that decision. Excuse me. A copy of the Zoning Board of Appeals application is also included in Exhibit A, which requests, as you can see, that the 6 old file map lots on Walnut Street be subdivided into 3 separate building lots, and 6 old file map lots on Birch Street be similarly subdivided into 3 separate building lots, one of which is the subject parcel. At the time of the application, each of the proposed 3 parcels located on Birch Street were developed with residential cottages, and 1 cottage and 2 foundations existed on the proposed 3 lots on Walnut Street. With regard to the excuse me, single and separate issue that's referenced in the building department's denial sheet, prior to the effective date of zoning, houses existed on the subject parcel, the parcel to the north, as well as construction that had already been started on the parcel to the east. These 3 parcels, which were held in common ownership until 1980, were each separately developed prior to zoning, considered to be separate parcels and not used in conjunction with one another by the owner, and were subdivided into separate parcels by the Zoning Board of Appeals in 1959. And I called the board's attention to the Zoning Board's of Appeals decision, which expressly stated that these lots were to be considered to be separate and distinct lots as of the effective date of zoning. Since that time, there's been no upzone, and the lot size requirement in that zoning district has remained the same. There's been no other zoning amendments that would cause those lots to merge. At no time in the decision was there any requirement imposed by the zoning board that those parcels be taken out of common ownership. And since that time, each of the parcels have been conveyed on multiple occasions as separate lots. They should therefore be considered single and separate lots as of zoning, as of the effective date of zoning in 1957. Since there's hopefully will be no further issue on that, but nonetheless we'd ask this board to reaffirm that the subject parcel is a single and separate lot from the adjoining parcels as of the effective date of zoning. Now, getting back to the substance of the variance application, our house has a CO for an approximate 1,079 square foot one-family dwelling, outdoor shower, and a 6-foot fence. The premises are improved with a house containing 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchen, sunroom, but only 1 bathroom, and the applicant basically, purpose of this application is to add an additional bathroom of a whopping 44 square feet to the existing dwelling to give the house more residential utility. The bathroom is proposed to be located within the existing side yard and front yard setbacks that the house currently has. Because the pre-existing lot coverage is 1,079 feet, which exceeds the allowable lot coverage, which is 1,000 square feet. The 44 square feet of additional lot coverage requires lot coverage variance additionally due to the proximity of the proposed addition to the northerly property boundary line. Pyramid height relief is also required of approximately 98 cubic feet. We would submit that the grant of the variance that we're requesting will not alter the character of the neighborhood or create any detriment to nearby properties. The surrounding area is comprised of many non-conforming lots that are improved with many non-conforming structures. So essentially, non-conformity is the character of the neighborhood that we would submit. There's an area photograph of the area, which we included it as Exhibit B in the exhibit packet for you to take a look at, just to show you the lot size and the development in the area. The 44 square feet to construct a small bathroom will be, as I mentioned, within the existing setbacks, will be inconspicuous, have no apparent effect on the neighborhood or nearby properties. We also provided you renderings of what that bathroom will look like. And we submit that the addition will easily blend in with the existing house. As I mentioned, the existing house, let me just say that already has 869 cubic feet of pyramid encroachment, which exceeds the lot coverage requirements. But we would submit that the additional 98 cubic feet of pyramid height relief and 44 square feet of lot coverage will not significantly change the look of the property and will have no impact on the character of the neighborhood. Obviously, since we've already exceeded the lot coverage requirement, any addition to the property is going to require a variance. And we would submit that the variance that we're asking for is not substantial. Pre-existing lot coverage for the subject property exceeds the maximum 20% under the zoning code, but only by 1.6%. The requested lot coverage variance of 44 square feet for the addition will increase the overall lot coverage actually by less than 1%. It does say 1%, but if you look at the numbers on the survey, it's 21.6, which we're going to 22.5 basically, which is a 0.9% difference. And we'd also submit, obviously, that the 98 cubic feet of pyramid height relief that we're seeking is a relatively minor encroachment into the sky plane. It will not create any detrimental impacts or on the physical environmental conditions in the area. There's existing screening on the northerly portion of the property, which as well as in front of the property. The screening on the northerly property line basically shields it from the northerly neighbor, which is the neighbor most affected by this application. In addition to that, the proposed addition is going to require an upgrade to the sanitary system. We are proposing to install an innovative alternative sanitary system on the property, and as a result, it will provide an environmental benefit to the neighborhood. Zoning board has granted variances for the same or greater relief in numerous instances in the neighborhood. I've provided in the exhibit packet 5 separate decisions by the zoning board where they've increased the lot coverage or have granted pyramid height relief. Various properties located at 39 Birch Street, 31 Birch Street, 26 Birch Street, as well as 11 Walnut Street. Those decisions are provided as Exhibit E in the exhibit packet. And lastly, I would submit that while the applicant's hardship can be self-created, that should not preclude this board from granting the variance. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
That was a lot.
I'm done now.
What? Yeah,
Well,
right.
it was necessary due to the
Complexity of the application.
exactly and the substantial relief that we're.
Okay, well, so,
Go ahead.
I did-
Julie is the lead on
I
this.
did visit the house. It is well vegetated, there is screening. I drove around the neighborhood, it seems quite consistent with what is going on in the neighborhood. This is certainly not a significant request, and I did not have any issues. I don't know if
That's
others
comforting
may
to know.
have.
I didn't see a survey.
Oh,
I saw
you-
something
you
on your
submitted
plan.
one, I mean,
Did you?
I-
Does anybody have a survey? I
I
know
don't think they
on
would
the
have,
plans
they
there
would
is.
have approved, well, accepted the application or deemed it
Well,
complete.
whether you
whatever.
submitted it and
Well,
whether
so-
we received it could be
Yeah.
sometimes two
Exactly,
different
as we
things.
witnessed earlier
As we
today.
witnessed earlier.
But,
And that
this
was my
essentially is what it
application,
looks
so
like, so.
Okay, but I think
Yeah,
for the
we don't
record,
have
we
it.
need to have the survey because we need to have what the exact
Okay.
lot coverage is and everything
Well,
else.
No, we need an original. That's what I was gonna say too. I do, there is a site plan, it does
Yeah,
reference
but
the survey,
that's-
but there is no lot coverage on it. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, and we need
All
an
right.
original of the survey, so,
Okay, well, if
okay.
we neglected to do that, I apologize and.
But it was interesting, cause clearly Artie saw the lot coverage number
Right,
somewhere. That's why I was
right,
looking for it
right,
on
that's
here.
on,
Yeah.
no, it's on the survey.
Yeah, but we didn't see the survey, that's why we couldn't confirm that was
I don't
the,
know, maybe Art took them, I don't know.
I don't know. Just
Maybe.
get us some original surveys.
The survey order, rumor has it.
Sure.
okay, is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this application? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this application? Please step forward. Well, wait, I have to, no, you can come forward, but I have to swear you in.
Oh.
Have a seat.
I just have one question.
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Ralph Starris, 14 Birch. Is the extension going to be on the Noyak
North.
Road side?
North side. No.
That's next to me then?
Yes, I guess, are you on the north side?
Yes.
Yes, then, the answer is yes.
Okay, just wondering.
Yes,
Doesn't seem to be much room on that side.
well, this is the survey that they
Let me
don't
get
have.
my glasses.
That's right, the survey that we can't refer to, so, okay.
That's it. As you see, proposed addition, that's the house.
Right.
And that's the shaded area.
This
That's
is
Noyak
Noyak
Road.
Road. All right, this is me over here.
All right,
So this little thing here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wondering,
that's it.
Okay,
make sure.
yeah, good to come and get a clarification.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's
Well,
perfect.
thanks for your time.
No problem. Anybody else who wishes to be heard on 12 Birch Street? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 12 Birch Street, the Bebop Cottage? Okay. Julie,
That's my question. Are they fans of Cowboy Bebop? Is that why
One
they
would-
named
one
this
would
Bebop
suspect,
Cottage?
yes.
Very funny.
it's a great name. Julie, go
Okay,
ahead.
yes, we're gonna close the hearing, hold it open for written submissions until November 22 with a decision on 12/5.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Reppin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
All right,
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Very
Thank
good.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 4 on the agenda,
Don't forget the
Ocean
survey.
View X LLC, 16 Ocean View Drive, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-271-1-39. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a new one-family dwelling, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for total side yards from 35 feet to 28.9 feet. Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law for a sky plane encroachment on the west side of 731.93 cubic feet, and on the east side, 2,841.06 cubic feet, for a total encroachment of 3,572.99 cubic feet, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. Kevin, you're the lead. Here's 2 more originals too.
Okay, let me swear, are you an attorney?
I'm an architect.
Okay, well then you have to be sworn in, sorry. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
John?
Please state your name individually and your address.
And one of these.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning,
Take
4
one.
Happy Acres Drive, Shirley.
Okay,
Zachary Clenahan,
14 Gravel Hill Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us about the project?
So what's coming down the line is an aerial of the neighborhood, just for your reference, as well as a town trustee approval for items within 50 feet of the bulkhead. So the subject property is located on the south side of Ocean View Drive in an R15 zoning district and is non-conforming to the zone with an existing lot width of 87.68 feet at Ocean View Drive, where 100 feet is required. The property is comprised of 23,852 square feet and benefits from a pre-existing CO for the existing single-family residence with garage below and deck over the garage from 1998, as well as certificates of compliance for residential deck additions, a basement alteration, and a swimming pool and spa from 2008 and 2009. The property fronts on Shinnecock Bay, contains a functional bulkhead as well as the 50-foot easement located landward of high water known as Shinnecock Beach Road. The property is regulated by the town trustees within Shinnecock Beach Road. So the property slopes in both the north-south direction and east-west direction, with the neighbors on either side located significantly higher to the east and lower to the west. The owner wishes to remove the existing structures on the property and construct a new two-story residence with attached garage, swimming pool, and associated decking and porches. The proposed house has been sited at a minimum side yard setback of 13.8 feet, where the pre-existing non-conforming minimum side yard right now is at 12.8 feet on the east side. The garage side of the residence, which is the western portion, is proposed at 15.1 feet, making the combined total side yards 28.9 feet, where 35 feet is required. So that's a variance of 6.1 feet from chapter 330-11. Additionally, the proposed residence will require a variance from 330-84D for pyramid due to the slope nature of the property in all directions. There's an approximate 10-foot elevation difference between Ocean View Drive and the proposed attached garage, and approximately a 10-foot grade difference higher for the property to the east, and about 8-foot grade difference lower for the property to the west, which makes—
I'm sorry, what was the west?
8 feet elevation difference.
Okay.
Makes siting a two-story dwelling difficult. So at this time, the requested pyramid relief is a total of 3,572.99 cubic yards, with 731.93 of those on the western side, and 2,841.06 cubic yards on the east side.
Feet or your feet?
Cubic feet? Yeah.
Cubic yards.
Cubic feet.
Cubic feet.
Feet.
Feet. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry. I've had a head cold for a couple days, so
Welcome to the club.
pardon me. The neighborhood is characterized by various size lots, which is why I gave you this aerial so you can see that some of them are much larger than others, some are significantly larger than others, where this one is kind of an average size within the neighborhood. Most of these contain two-story residences with similar accessory structures. The entire area slopes up from Shinnecock Bay, as well as sloping up from Atterbury Road to the west, up to Barrow Place to the east. The non-conforming lot width averages between 87 to 91 feet in the developed portion, which makes it difficult to comply fully with zoning. So the structure, for the most part, is centered on the lot between the eastern and western lot lines. The pyramid for the second floor is inset, which you can see in the plans. The second floor is not, it's not a box on top of a box, as you can actually see from these renderings. There's a lot of roof peaks going on, but the actual second floor living area is inset to the first floor. There's ample screening on both sides of the property and room for additional screening that will more than likely occur to further buffer the development from the neighbors on either side. And we're compliant with the maximum height where we're allowed 32 feet, we're at 30.5 feet. And lot coverage, we're allowed 20% and we're at 18.1% right now. So Zach brought these lovely renderings to show you basically what it would look like. So that's the front part where you're driving in to get to the garage.
From the street.
And then this is the water side.
Very nice.
So the resolution from the trustees is for anything located within their 50-foot easement, which is basically walkways and small things. So that's the project.
Okay, Kevin, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So, a couple observations. It struck me that the lot is longer and a little more narrow, and the presentation of the physical inhabited space is that shaped on a narrow lot, which necessarily forces two conflicts with the common borders on one side and then the other. So, this is just one person's view, but I would appreciate your explanation or consideration of just pulling the wings back into the center of the property more, and you avoid the pyramid issue either much more or possibly eliminate it entirely.
Do you want me to speak to that, or you? Okay. So what we did is we did this kind of like Z shape to take the majority of the mass of the house, which is the two-story mass,
Yep.
and we shifted that to the east side, which is further away from the neighbor that's really close to the west, which is a pre-existing non-conforming setback they have, and it doesn't impact the house to the east. Then what we did with the lower portion is we only have a one-story height on that lower portion, so it's way less visible. And I would add also that because there is an 18-foot grade change proposed from Ocean View Drive to where the garage is, we're gonna do like a serpentine driveway to lower the slope and to make the driveway safer. So that was one of the key things that we did the wing to help with the entry and make it a safer, more usable entry.
One thing I didn't note is that garage wing here does not require any pyramid variance. It's for the bulk of the house. And this eastern portion, which this portion of the residence is actually pretty much in the footprint of the existing residence, but just with a full second floor.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the second floor on this diagram? So,
Second floor starts from here back.
all right, so like from here.
Just a little bit, yeah, exactly, right there. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so this is the second floor.
Correct.
And this is a one-story.
Correct. And you can see that here too, how this is the one-story wing that's
Okay.
extruded out, and then it lines up with the roof line that goes up to the east for the main portion of the house, which is tucked further to the east.
There's no relief sought on the garage.
There's no relief
Pyramid.
on the garage at all.
Other than
Pyramid.
setback.
Pyramid.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, except for
setback.
setback. And I would point out too with the setback that whenever you do a section cut through this house, whether it's the main house or the garage, we're never exceeding that 35 combined total. It's just that because of the pre-existing non-conforming lot width and it's tapered, that we kind of had to skew both wings. But we did make sure that we maintained a 35 combined total lot width throughout the house and the design.
I yield to my colleagues for any other thoughts, observations, or comments.
So
I
you
think
said,
there's too much of a relief requested on the east side.
I wanted to ask you about that because you said that it was going to impact them less. And why did you say that?
Because the house to the east is really set far away from this property, whereas the house to the west is fairly close. It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot with a setback that they have on that property to the west.
This is the house to the east you're talking about.
That's the house
It's
to
set-
the east,
it's
yes.
set-
It's way far back, you can't see it, it's screened really well. It's the house to the west that we wanted to try to stay away from.
And
Which
they
is a
have
much smaller lot.
a much
Exactly.
smaller lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
And
think
And
they're
it's
only,
right on the boundary.
Have you heard from the neighbor to the east at all?
no,
Have you heard from other neighbors?
no.
Okay. All right, so what I gather from what you're saying is that the impact would be less on the house to the east.
Can I approach?
Okay, well, let us finish our questions and then you can come forward. Okay? So I just wanted to summarize. You said the impact would be less on the east because the house is set further back. That the part, there's a one-story part here, so that the second-story part is all towards Shinnecock Bay. And that the, what was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh, the driveway, that you were trying to do something with the driveway to make it safer?
yes, let me show you that. So, this is the Z-shaped wing, and then we're coming in at the lowest point on that Ocean View Drive, because it kind of goes up a steep hill, and then we're lessening the slope with the serpentine curve.
I did notice the driveway was interesting coming in.
The landscape designers were really worried about the slope, and they really worked hard to make this flow nicely.
So
and safe.
serpentine means that it just curves.
Yeah, it curves.
It's not like, yeah, it's, okay.
And when you're talking about safety, it's for people coming in and out of the driveway.
Yeah, they were worried that at a steeper slope, there could be some slipping as you're driving in, if you had to stop abruptly.
Okay. Any other,
Also,
go
I just
ahead.
want to note that the upgraded sanitary system is going to be located in that other portion on the western side of the driveway, where the grade will effectively be higher.
It's like a 28.
What are the ceiling heights?
We did 9 foot in the basement, 10 foot for the first floor, and then we're proposing 9 feet on the second floor.
Any wiggle room on that to bring it down, to bring the, because this is a lot of pyramid relief request. And I'm picking up from some board members that that's not a favorable thing for them. I mean, do we have some negotiation room at 9, 10, and 9?
I would have to speak to the homeowner to see if we could bring it down. The challenge is on the east side, we have very little space between the pyramid and an 8-foot head height. And so if we were to try to bring the roof down, it would pinch the 8-foot head height of the windows and doors there, which is like, that's the main first floor where everything is at 8 foot. So I think it would be challenging to bring that roof down. We could bring the ceiling height down of the second floor, but I don't think that would change much in the roof line because of that pinch on the first floor level. Does that make sense? Do you want me to explain that a
Not
little further?
totally, but,
Okay.
so what you're saying is that you don't think by lowering the ceiling heights that you would really gain much in the way of,
Because they want to have 8-foot windows.
Correct.
That's what he was saying.
yeah,
They want
because you
8-foot
want,
windows.
all right,
Because
so
that's
if
the
you
main
want
floor.
8-foot windows, could you have 6-foot windows? I mean,
6-foot windows.
I don't know, I'm not a builder, I don't know what, I know it's probably a standard size.
It is.
But I would say that I would be interested in hearing if you can do some consideration for ceiling heights.
So I just want to reiterate that where the majority of the pyramid is requested is on the eastern side, and as I mentioned, that property is 10 feet higher than the grade for this property. So they are not only further back, but they're also significantly higher. So they would probably still be looking down on this property.
Right, but you have a walkout basement on the lower level on that wing. That counts for something. That's not, oh, the elevation is deterring us.
There's retaining walls. So I guess what I'm
Understood,
saying,
but it's a walkout basement
right.
to the bay.
I think what you're hearing is, I appreciate the discussion, I appreciate your thoughtful answers to some of the concerns. It was actually better than I was expecting, no disrespect intended. But you're also, I think what you're also hearing is we need a little relief from the relief request. And at least you have to
Not just a
demonstrate that the effort, the request and the result is either not material or can be made to work and with a meaningful effort to try to make some give work.
Okay, I think what we could adjust is instead of the floor height, we could adjust the heights of the windows on the second floor in both dormers and go from 8 foot to 7'6".
Can
Would
you
that be
help me understand, point to where the 8-foot windows are here?
Sure. These are all at 8 foot head height.
Yeah.
And then these are at 8 foot head height. So I'm proposing that on the actual shed dormer that encroaches, we could drop that pitch down a little bit steeper to 7'6", if that's agreeable to the board.
It would depend on the number, how it affects the number.
Okay.
I think what Kevin was saying is that, you know, you should give some thought to this and either come back and say we can't make it change because of X, Y, and Z, or these are some of the possibilities and what the impact would be. Because we really do push people on pyramid now. We're really trying to hold the line on it, and it's a beautiful house. I think it's going to be lovely, but yeah.
We have to tell you what we just told you,
Yeah.
so you can go back and talk to your client and say, we
Understood.
have to do better here. Let's talk about that.
And if you can't, then come back and we make a decision based on, you know, if we feel still, you know, we make a decision on what you come back with.
Okay. We'll talk to
You're
clients. see
putting
what
an
they're comfortable with.
enormous house on a relatively narrow lot.
It's a big house.
On that eastern wing, which I will call it a wing, we have in the basement a rec room, a gym, a cabana, a game room. Then we have this first floor is the family room, dining room, kitchen, and then a master suite. Or excuse me, what do we call them now? We call them primary suite.
Okay.
I mean, I understand what your client's trying to
And
do.
we're not maximizing coverage. We have stayed below the maximum allowed lot coverage on this.
Understood, but that's a configuration for you to figure out, not for me to figure out. What
Right.
I'm looking at is you're asking for about 3,000 cubic feet of relief on one side of the house, in addition to almost 1,000 cubic feet on the other side of the house, which, in my opinion, is excessive,
Okay.
and I would never approve it. So I'd like to see you come down significantly.
Yeah, I think we can adjust those roof lines in the shed.
I think you can do that.
I
Okay.
think that'll make that's significant.
Okay.
We appreciate your consideration.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application?
You just have to go to a mic, sir.
Okay, you want to come to this chair? Are you an attorney?
My name is Michael Flores.
Are you an attorney?
I'm sorry?
Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Michael Flores, 14 Ocean View Drive.
Michael, could you spell your last name, please?
P for Peter.
Yes.
R-O-I-O-S.
I-O-S. Okay, thank you. Let us hear, you can be seated and hear your comments.
You probably can. Sure. Can you tell me these circular things, what are they?
These are existing bushes,
The bushes?
Mhm.
Yeah. The trees or bushes?
the trees,
The trees. They grow
sorry,
straight up.
Those are the
And,
evergreens on that.
yeah,
on
the
that side.
existing ones.
Okay, and this path over here, it's a wooden path.
That's the existing wood path.
It's the existing wood path.
Mhm.
And
This is actually changed, it's coming from here now.
I know, I'm familiar with this, with the pool over here. So now you're going lower and you're going closer to the property, right?
With the pool,
Yes. Is this the existing one?
Correct.
well,
Yes.
this is, yeah,
Now, the pool, what I'm concerned is that actually I don't want to have big walls. The pool itself.
I could show you in the rendering what it would look like
Sure,
right
sure,
here.
sure.
So this is the property to the west,
Yes,
and this is the corner that you're
you're talking
That you're
about.
talking about.
So,
Yeah.
so this height is approximately what?
believe it's gonna be 6 feet or 7 feet, I believe.
Hmm?
Because they're gonna change, the grade is gonna be proposed to bring it
This
brought
is
up.
the one existing,
This
move
is
the
the
existing.
Correct.
Okay. Alright.
And we're trying to maintain those existing retaining walls on that property that are there currently.
Yes.
And then we're gonna step it back and then go up, so we can have that screening along that side.
Mm-hmm. Now, because I see that's the only area, the other area is gonna stay the same because
Correct.
most of the trees are there anyway.
That's right.
That's it.
Okay, you wanted clarification.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, that's great. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard on 16 Ocean View Drive? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 16 Ocean View Drive?
Susan?
Yes, Helen?
The applicants come back with a big reduction in the encroachment.
Helen, we can't hear you.
She said she wants them to come back. She
See,
wants a
the
reduction.
applicants come back with a reduction in the encroachment.
I think you got the
We'll
hint.
check with the client, see what they're comfortable with to bring the heights down on the shed dormers.
Okay.
And the change in that height in the second floor.
What kind of time do you need?
Do whatever you have to do.
All right.
Understood.
God has spoken.
We're trying to get a date to adjourn
Well,
to.
you may have this going to January. You have 15 on November 21st, and you have 13 on 12/5.
Yeah,
January 2nd?
1/2 or 1/16. January 2 or
1/16.
January 16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. So I'm gonna make a motion to keep this hearing open, adjourn until January 16,
Second.
2025.
Mr. McDonald,
I'm sorry.
we're voting now. Mr.
Oh,
McDonald.
I'm sorry. Aye on my own motion, yes.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Ms. Kane, Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, see you then.
Thank you.
Give us a
Thank
few
you
weeks off.
very much.
Okay. Number 6 on the agenda, 96 Wilshire Street, LLC. 96 Wilshire Street, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-132-1-61. Katie, I'll call them both?
Read the first one, I'll say board has jurisdiction.
And then I'll read the second?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Applicant requests relief as provided in Town Code Section 330-165A, appeals on interpretation of zoning law and map. Applicants appeal the change of tenancy issued May 6, 2024, as approval from the planning board is required and was never obtained.
These are our copies, not these. Okay.
I'm sorry, just hold on. Dave, I take all the written subs. So, the board has jurisdiction?
Okay, and number 7 on the agenda, 96 Wilshire Street, LLC, 96 Wilshire Street, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-132-1-61. Applicant requests relief as provided in Town Code Section 330-165A, appeals on interpretation of zoning law and map. Applicants appeal the issuance of certificate of compliance number A240871, issued June 28, 2024, as approval from the planning board is required and was never obtained.
The board has jurisdiction. I'm gonna pass these to Bob, and then just hold on 1 second while we pass these down. Pass those down.
Okay.
I'm
Bob
just saying
gets
to Dave,
those.
hold on.
This is for Bob.
Pass. There's just 2 pages, right, Dave? Two handouts?
yes.
Yep, so pass those to Bob. And then everybody can take a little packet. Oh, yeah. And when there's an extra, give one to Mr. Gilmartin too, if you have one, please. Just keep passing them down.
There's should be a picture.
1, 2.
There's a handout in like an area.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Can't maneuver these easily. There you go.
And actually, Dave, what we should all, Dave and Chris, what we should also do is give a copy to Rooney, and then we should keep 2 of those copies, because we have 2 files, right?
Okay.
Right.
No, I need 3.
Okay.
Well, Roland, I want these filed, and he wants to have
I don't believe I have that many copies with me this evening.
Yeah, so just submit it, just to
Okay.
give us another original. Just, so that both files are together, the same. Okay, we're ready.
Would you please state your name and address?
David Kirst from Matthews Kirst Cooley and Choron, 241 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York.
Okay.
Good
David,
evening.
tell us about these 2 applications.
So, beginning with, we are challenging the issuance of a permit for a change of use from vacant land to a plant nursery.
The basis of our appeal is that a site plan approval is required pursuant to Town Code Section 330-181A. In the event this board finds that that permit was properly issued, we are also appealing the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that, as the current use and materials on site don't comply with the conditions that were in that permit. So a brief history here of this property, recent use. A notice of violation was issued October of 2022 for change of use to a commercial business. That was not remedied, resulted in a violation being issued in July of 2023 for an improper change of use to a commercial business. Subsequently, the property owner made a submission to the planning board for a pre-submission conference for site plan for the change of use to a plant nursery. There was a pre-submission public hearing, October 2023, and a pre-submission conference report, November of 2023. That noted significant issues, including the nature of the use, materials being stored on site, hours of operation, percentage of the property that was devoted to parking and storage versus plant storage. As far as I'm aware, that November 16th pre-submission conference report was the last act of the planning board. Subsequently, the application was made to the building department for a change of tenancy. That was January of 2024. By letter dated February 16th, that was denied by the building department, stating that the applicant shall contact the planning department and receive planning board approval before a building permit can be issued, citing section 330-181A. As far as I know, that determination was never challenged by the property owner. Any time to have done that expired back April 16th. So it was a surprise to our clients. Come May of 2024, a permit is issued for a change of use, despite no site plan approval having been granted for that change of use. We have foiled that permit. We have asked for it. It is not available on GIS. It is not available through FOIL request. It's kind of a mystery permit. The only thing, there's some information and a permit number in the general information on the town GIS, but I've never been able to get my hands on that actual permit. And from what I understand from my client, there was never a permit posted at the property after that was issued. So we appealed that permit June of 2024. Subsequently, June, a certificate of compliance was issued, which we have also appealed that as well. So for a change of tenancy permit, there are, site plan is required. There's 4 exemptions to when site plans are required. 1, a single family and 2 family detached dwellings. This is not. Agricultural buildings and structures, again, not here. There's no structures proposed. 3rd, not applicable either. Non-residential zoning, which here we are, I believe, R15. And 4th is a change in tenancy from one permitted use to another permitted use, provided both within the same use classification, and the change of tenancy does not increase parking, and provided that is accompanied by a commercial compliance certificate issued from the building department. This property is residential vacant land and has been for decades, hasn't been used at all. It became overgrown prior to the property owner purchasing it. The last actual use on this property, as cited by code enforcement, was a non-conforming, non-permitted commercial use.
When was that?
When they were cited?
No, the use you just referenced.
That was in 2022 and 2023 when they got cited for having converted to a non-conforming use. Further, this is supported by section 330-184, site plan application procedures, which requires a pre-submission conference for the establishment of new non-residential use, even if no structure is proposed, including but not limited to uses such as sand mines, cemeteries, golf courses, wireless communication facilities, other non-structural, non-residential uses, which this clearly falls under. So in the, let's see, I went through that. So that really addresses the certificate of the permit being issued and our challenge to that. Subsequently, in issuing a certificate of compliance, it's pretty clear. There's some photos submitted. There's still material on site that is not supposed to be there according to the permit. Up until the property was posted and noticed, there was, I don't know how many of you drive past this, but there was a large red truck parked on County Road 39 every day, which the permit specifically said no access to the property from County Road 39. There was no way for it to get where it was without going from County Road 39. The survey that was submitted and supposedly approved with that certificate of compliance shows approximately 165 feet of planting for the plant storage between my client's property line and any sort of parking and storage area. That has not been implemented. There's equipment and materials as close as 20, 30 feet to our client's property line. Heavy equipment, stuff that may or may not be being used by the existing plant nursery. Without 24/7 surveillance, it's kind of impossible to say whether it is or not. There's large logs. There's a oil tank.
But Dave, what you're talking about, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like it's getting off track. What you're talking about, non-compliance with conditions of a certificate of compliance, are code enforcement issues. I mean, you're saying the certificate of compliance says things that are existing there that are not supposed to be there. That's for code to enforce. The question is whether or not the certificate of compliance for the change of use should have been issued at all. Correct?
Correct, which if the permit said certain things were prohibited and they issued a certificate of compliance with those prohibited things going on. So in my opinion, they shouldn't have issued a certificate of compliance. They hadn't complied with the permit.
Well, we don't have a permit, is what you said, right? But I mean, but and I think the board has to appreciate too, this isn't a typical like certificate of compliance. There's a building and a structure and it's in compliance. This is for a use. And it's not even really for a use, it's for a, what do they call it? The what are they calling it? The change in tenancy, right?
It is for a use. Right. It's for a use as a plant nursery. That's the defined use under the code.
Correct, but I'm saying typically you see a certificate of compliance or certificate of occupancy, which means you can now use this building. You can walk into this building and it's safe. I mean, the use here is kind of like the sand mines, or where you have, there's no buildings or structures on the property. There's just a use.
They
correct?
Still have certificates of compliance also.
I know they do, but what I'm saying is, you can have a certificate of occupancy solely for a use, and if you do other uses, those are violations. They're not cause to revoke a CO or a CC.
Well, I believe it would be if the CC shouldn't have been issued in the first place.
Correct, but that's
which is what we're claiming here.
But we shouldn't be addressing the non-compliance with the certificate of compliance. That's a code enforcement issue.
Right.
But what we should be addressing is, did they follow what they were supposed to do, and was the certificate of compliance issued appropriately?
Correct.
And that's what we're dealing with here.
Correct.
So we're not going to get into the logs and the whatever.
Well,
that's a.
I think
part of your argument. Hold on. So it sounds to me like you're saying the change of tenancy should not have been approved.
Correct.
Such that the certificate of compliance should not have been issued.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm also saying that if you do find that the permit was properly issued, that the certificate of compliance should not have been issued after that, because the conditions that are in the permit, no additional storage, access from County Road 39, the layout of
But
the
you're
parking.
seeing that in a certificate of compliance, not in a permit.
I'm not sure I'm following your question there.
You're getting those obligations out of the certificate of compliance because we don't have the permit.
I'm getting them from the information that was available
That's
on
available.
the town's
Where's
website.
the change of tenancy? Were you able to get a change of tenancy application or any of the documents?
There's a building permit application. There is no permit. The information that we have and provided to the board is taken from the general summary pages from the town GIS.
So you just have the denial of the change of tenancy.
We have the denial of the change of tenancy. We have the history in front of the planning board, and then we have
pre-submission conference report.
Then we have a mystery permit somewhere, and then
in the ether.
and then a certificate of compliance,
Okay.
which has conditions in it that I assume came from the permit, which were not complied with before the certificate was issued. So I understand your point, whereas subsequently to the certificate of compliance being issued, things are code enforcement issues.
But what would a permit even say for this? What would a permit?
Well, it did. I don't know. From what I understand, the permit said no additional materials
But if we don't
and
have
no
that, how do we
access.
know?
So I'm doing the best I can with.
Assuming that's what it says.
I'm assuming that's what it said. That's usually the information that's in the certificate of compliance mirrors what was in the permit. So that's all I have to go on. But I don't.
Help me clarify my own confusion. Is some activity appeared before the planning board regarding a site plan and that hasn't been concluded, right?
Correct, as far as I know.
And there's a permit, we think, that is allegedly issued for something, and it can't be found and no one can read it.
Right.
Correct.
But aren't we here
And on the basis of
speculation?
that,
We're just
there was a
speculating
certificate of
what it
compliance.
says and-
Are you able to tell us anything about
No,
that?
the first. Oh,
I'm sorry, let's
I'd like to ask Anthony
Yeah.
if he can give us any clarity about what happened in front of the planning board,
Yeah,
if at all.
I mean, this wasn't one of my applications, but it did. It went before the planning board for a pre-submission conference, which means that the property owner, the applicant, was advised to submit an application. Maybe it was based on, I guess, the denial that they received. I'm not sure.
that was well before.
So the site plan came in before.
Yes.
Before that. So somebody advised the applicant, the property owner, to submit a site plan application to the planning board. We did a pre-submission. We had a hearing. We prepared a report. We identified the issues. And as far as I know, a formal application didn't come in because after that, I believe the applicant then went to the chief building inspector and got this interpretation and then went in a different direction. But we started off with a site plan or a pre-submission conference for a site plan before the planning board. That much I know.
What would be the different direction?
Yes.
What is
Well,
that?
they didn't. I'm guessing that they went to the chief. Seems like they went to the chief building inspector and got the change of tenancy, and then the certificate of compliance. They never finished a site plan process.
Notwithstanding this site
The,
plan
the
process
pre-submission
being abandoned.
process report is just.
They didn't follow through on it.
They didn't follow through. on it.
And
there's
they
also-
should have, before they went to the building.
Well, that's what
Unless they
David,
change-
that's
Well,
David
what this
Hurst's
is
main.
about.
Unless they change.
That's what he's arguing, yes.
And there's also a letter from the building department denying the change of tenancy, saying site plan is needed,
Right.
And then a permit somehow gets
and then a
issued.
permit appeared.
But the, and
I think we can find
the
out what
use that's
happened.
on the property arguably is an agricultural use, correct? Which is
A-
permitted in
a
all
plant
residential
nursery,
zones.
a plant nursery is a permitted use on this property,
Correct.
but the procedure to how it got there is what we're challenging.
Okay, and why don't you think it falls under the exception for the permitted uses? The exception that you were talking about for 33181? Change in tenancy from one permitted use to another.
Is it because it doesn't have structures and buildings on
There's-
the property?
I'm asking Dave.
There really is no use. It's a vacant residential property being made into a plant nursery. So there was no prior use to be changing from. It is now becoming a plant nursery. Further, that's a plant nursery versus residential is not the same use in the use table.
Right.
And commercial certificate of compliance was never issued by the chief building inspector. So there's
Well,
multiple.
there is a there is a commercial certificate of
prior
compliance.
to the building permit being made. The building permit is accompanied by a commercial certificate of compliance under 183.4. That, as far as I know, is different than the certificate of compliance that was issued for the change of use and was never issued either.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I thought I heard you say just now that a plant nursery is a permitted use?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so are all these issues that you're raising purely procedural because you think they got to this outcome in the wrong way, or is there some other relief or question at issue? I'm missing something. I feel
The first step is procedural.
Okay.
The second step is operational.
Okay, but in the end, let's imagine for a minute all the proper requirements were met. Is
Okay.
the outcome a plant nursery that there isn't a valid objection to?
It is a permitted use, you said.
The outcome, yes, a plant nursery would be a permitted use.
So what are we trying to object?
We're trying to decide whether procedurally it went through the proper steps to get to.
That this should have gone to site plan where the planning board had made recommendations and has some control over the operations on the property, which have now vanished, and it's kind of a free-for-all.
And they may have constrained those
Correct.
hypothetically or not.
Correct. So we submitted a copy of the pre-submission conference report from the planning board that's in your file. You'll see there were, significant issues raised by the planning department and planning board.
So clarify or summarize, what is it you're asking us to find?
That this change requires site plan approval before it can get approved.
Okay.
And that approval was never obtained.
All right, and the rest of
It all flows from that.
Understood. So that's a specific, you want us to make that specific finding, that's your request?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And are there any other findings in that otherwise pretty confusing story?
No, if I don't think there is.
Thank you for simplifying it. Appreciate
Glad
it.
to assist.
Thank
Is
you.
that all laid out in the written submission that you submitted?
That's
all
all
of
laid
this?
out in the application materials and the summary that was with both of those. It lays that out, I think, pretty well.
I think so. I think it's good.
Are you asking us to make any determination on any other approvals that were either allegedly issued or?
No.
No, so just the simple request that this should have been reviewed and site plan issued by the planning board.
Correct.
In some manner.
Correct.
Got it.
And if for some reason you find that it shouldn't have had site plan issued, then we're asking that the certificate of compliance wasn't issued properly because of the current operations on the property.
Okay. Thank you.
But that's the code enforcement part
I don't-
that we're kind of going
I
back to.
Yes. I understand what is being said, and I think I agree with Mr. Leonard.
Yeah, no, he's talking about the invalidation or the annulment of the certificate of compliance,
Yes.
regardless of what the obligations are and whether or not they complied with them.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Thank you for stimulating.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? All right.
But, and just so the board knows, David represents the property owner, so normally while we say people in opposition and you get 3 minutes, he represents the property owner, so he
We'll
should-
give him 5 minutes.
No, somebody's making an application to
I
invalidate what's been issued
I
on the property, so I'm just.
So give him leeway.
Did you give David Gilmartin, did you give David Kirst a copy of this? Okay, you did or you did not?
All right, but you have to come up and I have to swear you in.
Hold on, let me give you 2 of these. You need one of these for Kirst.
You're not an attorney?
No.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Joe Sidorowitz, 77 County Road, 39A.
Joe, would you spell your last name, please?
Sidorowicz.
I'm sorry, you had to end
S-I-D-O-R.
Owicz.
2 Z's?
CZ.
CZ.
Charlie.
CZ. All right. Sorry, got it. Okay, Joe, why don't you give us your comments?
So just, I'm as confused as everyone.
And what is your
What's your
relationship to this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am a co-trustee of the Sophie Sidora Irrevocable Trust for 77 County Road 39A and 75 Hampton Street, which borders the southern boundary of the property in question.
Okay, hold on. Let's find where you are. Where is
So our
that?
backyards is towards his southern boundary.
So you're not the property owner, you're an adjacent property owner, right? Just,
Yeah, property owner, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Adjacent property owner.
Oh, the subject parcel.
Are you the owner of this property that's a subject,
That is
that
the sub-
96?
Which
would-
property is, oh, jeez, I'm falling over. Which property is yours?
77 County Road 39A is this house and a non-conforming subvariant commercial
So you own this property
as well as that one.
and this one, okay.
So you see our boundary of our northern property line, so those two
Yeah.
properties are his southern.
Did you see that? It's these
All right.
three.
Okay.
I would really
Okay.
like the
Okay,
board
so-
to just see the surrounding residential houses around this property.
I think board members have gone to see the site.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yes, I know I have.
So in reference to the 30-day comment period, in reviewing that, a lot of it is really hitting home runs. There's a couple of things I just want to clarify on. It says the parcel has not been used as agriculture during the past 40 years. Actually, I have photographic evidence. My father was Ed Sider Photo, Ed Sider. So I have photos. I can narrow it down between 60 and 65 years since the last time anything was planted there. So it's been an abandoned kind of parcel since then. It also says the previous owner of the parcel indicated that the parcel has been farmed until 1970. That is incorrect. It would have been in the late 50s or early 60s. So I do have evidence to prove that. So I just want to make that clear. Let's see. So as you know, there's a note, an adjacent resident is elderly and has asthma, thus dust could exacerbate health conditions. That would be my mom. She's 95 currently, going to be 96 in August. The dust that has been created to that property to the north of us, I have to wash the outside of the houses. There's just so much dust just from it being created and all the work being done on that property. So I want to make the board clear of that, aware of that, I should say. Literally in the summertime, my bedroom window faces the north, and I'm literally like 20 feet away with just a hedgerow separating the commercial trucks that are starting up in the morning, diesel fuel coming into my window, clock, 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of nice, right? When I first learned that Mr. Graylish bought the property, I was told it was going to be put into like a working nursery or a nursery, which I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like trees, just like the Warren Field behind the northern houses on Wilshire. That's great. That old empty lot's still going to remain beautiful and trees left and right. To what is evolved in today is nothing like that. It's clearly a working nursery, hardscaping, commercial lot, a working parcel and business. Nothing like I was originally told.
Okay.
Joe,
I just want to tell you, we do have a time limit on
okay,
your
I'm
comments.
gonna wrap this right up.
Okay, and also what we're dealing with here is the issuance of the permit, not so much the conditions of, the nursery, but go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make it clear because I saw the first meeting and now this meeting.
No, not with us. So the first meeting was with the planning board.
Well, still, I don't think anybody, I just don't feel that everyone understands the surrounding properties next to this one. So basically, in summary, our quality of life is really not that great on our southern property, right on County Road 39A. And to have a commercial working hardscaping, landscaping business to our north property line, we're a residential area that's sandwiched between a major 3-lane highway and now a working commercial yard. You know, I mean,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
pretty much it. Just wanna
Granted. Okay.
say my piece.
Okay, thank you, Joe. We appreciate it. And I did want to say that I did go to view it, and I know Kevin went to view it. So I appreciate the fact that it isn't very much in a residential area.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for taking the time to go there and look at it yourself.
Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Okay, next. Are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Nancy Whalen, 105 Wiltshire Street, directly across from 96 Wiltshire Street, the property that's in question. I have some positive points to bring out to the table. I think it's been a beautiful addition to Wiltshire Street with the beautiful arborvitaes or whatever the green trees are that are directly across from my house. I see that as a huge advantage. I love it. I think it provides a habitat for birds and wildlife, and plants do clean the air. I've never seen any hardscape of any kind. I have seen some sort of advertising piece of equipment that says Grealish Tree Farm on it, that sort of sits over to the side. It's kind of an eyesore, but it's only, I don't know, it's not even 5 feet high, I don't think. The point that someone was making about there wasn't supposed to be any access from 39, and clearly there is access from 39. I think that's a wonderful thing that there's access from 39, because if he couldn't have access from 39, he has to have it from Wiltshire, which is worse for the people that live on Wiltshire Street. So I'm all in favor of keeping it as it is. I think the trees do come and go. I think that's kind of like fun to see what trees have left and what trees are coming in. And, you know, I sort of walk around there sometimes. I don't think Peter knows that, but I do as like a little park, you know? It isn't a park, I know, but I think it's a nice place. And I just wanted to give an alternate viewpoint.
Okay, we appreciate that. The arborvitae are very big and beautiful, I agree.
Yeah.
But every, neighbors are affected in different ways depending upon.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I don't dispute how other neighbors may feel.
Right.
I just wanted to share my personal
Okay, we
experience.
appreciate that. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, next.
Hello, Kevin Jaworski. I'm not an attorney.
Okay, let me swear you in, Kevin.
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name again and your address.
Kevin Jaworski, 76 Wiltshire Street, Southampton, New York.
Okay, Kevin, tell us what your comments are.
My comments are is that I waited patiently for the planning board to come up with a site plan so that I could see it and see and state if I had any objections to what was going on there. Now, as a property owner on the same border as him, if he's having a site going before the planning board, I should have the right to comment on something, right? Well, I waited for the site plan, which never happened. And then I never got a letter stating that it was going to be a public hearing. It just went to the building department and got accepted or permitted, right? Now, my objection is to this. I know it's a plant nursery, right? Or the stated use is plant nursery, but it's a full-blown landscaping business. Now, technically, you could not put a mom and pop landscaping business with a couple of mowers and a trailer on a piece of property. It's not permitted under our zoning laws. But if you say, I'm a plant nursery, and you stick some plants in the ground, now every landscaping business in the town of Southampton now has a loophole. If you permit this to go through, you're like setting an example for any decision in the future. So any landscaper who's operating on residential property can now put some trees in the ground, and I am a plant nursery. There's nothing you can do about it. You're opening up the door for this problem. So I would really like to see this board kick this thing back to planning so that they can actually do something here and put some restrictions on it. The size of the equipment rolling around in there shakes the house. And if you go over there and look, there's just huge tree trunks. And then every now and then, they bring the workload back from that day's stuff and use the wood chipper in the yard. Now, that's not a plant nursery. That's a landscaping business. We got two entirely different things here, right? And you just can't call it a plant nursery and then move your landscaping business in there, because that's not even permitted under the use of the property. So I think you need to do some more work here.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Anybody else from the audience who wishes to be heard? Please come forward. Are you an attorney?
No, my name is.
All right, do you swear to tell, wait a second, let me swear you in first. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing?
Everything is true.
Okay.
I'm a come to Tuleski. My address is 76 Walshaw Street, Southampton, 11968.
How do you spell your first name?
Because I married my husband Tuleski, and I add my last name too. Ng, that's G-U-R.
E-N-G.
Yeah, N-G, and that's T-U-R-E-S-K.
Okay, okay. Turetsky, I've got. Okay,
Yeah.
I just didn't get your first
Okay.
And
My
your
name. E-N-G.
N-G, no, N-G.
N is in Nancy, G is in
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
NG.
That's
Okay.
T-U-R-E-S-K.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And my English is not very good.
That's
I
okay,
hope
go ahead.
understanding. And I look at that. This is a residential so far I know, because I don't know that much about anything. So I say, my husband say this is a residential. Yes, residential is people live in. A commercial is a business, right? That's called commercial property, right? And when he start to remove back the house, and then I said, what happening here? Suddenly the house shaking. My computer like, oh, what happening? And even worse, he renting for the on that time I forgot, last year maybe. The renting for the Suffolk County, the water, changing water pipe. They just drop it, boom! And suddenly drop, boom! I say, I almost call 911, I will die heart attack. What happening here? I have to suffer. Everybody surrounding to suffer about him. He making good money, good time. We suffer.
Okay.
If he can change the usage like this, I can change my property. I can changing renting for the equipment, landscaping as much as I can. I can renting for running for nightclub.
Okay.
You see how painful we suffer to like this.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments.
Okay,
Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. And make my property value is go down.
Anybody else from the audience? Did you want to come up?
Susan, can I ask a question?
All right, so hold on. Helen, you want to say something?
I'll ask a question. Katie, should we, even before these kind people came to tell what they needed to tell, do you think this is something that should go back to the planning board so
That's
that
what we're
they
deciding.
can sort of
That's what we're
finish up what they needed to finish up?
Yeah, Helen, that is the issue.
That's
before
the
board.
issue.
Would that be appropriate?
That's the issue before the board. Now we're gonna hear from the property owner and his attorney.
Okay.
For the property owner, 96 Wilshire, David Gilmartin Jr.
Greenberg Trog, 2317 Main Street, Bridgehampton, New York. First of all,
Are you going to speak?
Yes.
Well then, are you an attorney?
I'm the owner of the property.
Okay, then I have to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name and address.
Peter Reelish, 54 Post Lane, Southampton.
How do you spell your last name?
Grealish.
Okay. Okay, you going to start, David?
I will start. First of all, let's define what this hearing is about. It's about an appeal of the issuance of a permit, and it's about the appeal of the CO issue. This board cannot demand that I go back to the planning board for this. Right? It's not within your jurisdiction, and it's not going to happen. Right? So let's set the stage for exactly what we're
What do
discussing.
you mean it's not going to happen?
It's like we're not going to go back to. We're not
Oh,
going
okay,
to
well, you can say that, but we can grant, we can decide that the permit was issued inappropriately.
You can.
And that's within our jurisdiction.
That's within your jurisdiction.
Okay, so just
but
so that we're clear,
I said that.
we've got our jurisdiction, you have your decision to do whatever you wish to do.
Right.
Okay.
So a lot of the story is missing from what you heard, as you can imagine. Mr. Grealish called me after he had went to the pre-submission site plan hearing, said it didn't go well. Would I represent him in bringing the site plan? I said, oh, bring your stuff over, we'll take a look. And he showed me what he was doing. And there was no building permit involved in this application, which is the absolute trigger to have to go to site plan. So I said, you don't have to do a site plan. Let's go see the chief building inspector and get that interpretation, and we'll go through the process that they lay out. So we went through that process. Went to see the chief building inspector. He said, let me get the wording right, make an application for a commercial change of tenancy use, right? And I said, well, frankly, I don't think that we have to do that because we're not asking for a building permit. And he said, okay, accepted the application. They went out and inspected, and they found a shed there that didn't have a building permit or a CO. They also found materials that they didn't think were part of a plant nursery, and they took objection to an open access from County Road 39 onto the property. And he said, if we fix those three things, do we need a building permit or have to go to site plan? And he said no. Right? So we took out the access. We proved that with the site plan that was given to the chief building inspector. We removed the materials that was subject to an inspection by the building department.
When did that happen, dude?
That
Or
happened.
roughly, not exact date.
We filed, I think, in December. They processed it in January. We got the turn down letter, I think it was February. And then we went back and made the changes that were required by that.
Okay.
After we made those changes, that's when the change of tenancy use was issued. After we removed the objections and any requirement that you would need a building permit. I've given you copies of the code, and if you look at Exhibit A, the first line, you don't get past. (330)181A, an application for a building permit for any use, building, or structure shall require site plan approval from the town planning board. We didn't need a building permit, right? So that was the.
Except for the following. And then go down to 4.
Well, if you have to read the whole thing then.
Yeah.
Or, if eligible pursuant to 330-183, of this chapter, an administrative site plan approval by the town planning and development, except for, which means you don't need it for these things.
I'll tell you,
But
I'm not reading it
that's-
that way.
I don't read it that way.
I'm not reading it that way at all.
What do you mean you're not reading what?
That he doesn't need he doesn't need it's a change of use a tenancy change.
Right, well, it's an application for a building permit will require site plan approval except for in these other instances, but you're telling us you don't need a building permit. So it was a change of tenancy. So what are the circumstances under which
Change
a
of
change of
tenancy.
tenancy requires site plan approval?
They don't. It's a building permit that trips the
Triggers.
requirement. You've heard tonight, this is a permitted use. I've given you evidence that the property was used in its history as an agricultural use. Tom White of the well-known Bridgehampton and Sagaponic Whites had a letter that it was farmed up to 78. That's permitted, and you can't abandon a permitted use. So it's going from agriculture to plant nursery. They're in the same section of the code, which allowed us to do the change of tenancy, which, you know, frankly, I don't think we needed to do it. Question whether this is a landscaping use or not is answered by Exhibit 3, which is a state document that shows it's a plant nursery. Exhibit 4 is the county saying it's a plant nursery.
How do you get someone to issue a permit saying it's a plant nursery? What proof is required? Because we at least have some people saying there's other activity, landscaping
Well,
business going
first of
on.
all, that's not
That's
true.
code. I think that's
It's not
code.
a landscaping use. A landscaping use is not being, I mean, my client can testify directly to that, but that's not what's happening on site. It's what they'd like you to believe so that you take some action that.
Can I just touch on that briefly? Because what they are, everybody, people that have spoken here today, as far as them saying that I am running my business out of that property is totally untrue. I have a total separate commercial property where I run my business, where my employees show up, where the bulk of my equipment is kept, and where we return at the end of the day. And I have places to store my hand tools and things like that on Powell Ave, Plant Street in Southampton Village. My landlord is Henry Hildreth, and I've been there for 25 to 30 years. What they're saying that I am running my business out of there is totally untrue. I have done everything I can to appease the neighbors by, the first thing I did was put up 50 20-foot trees along Wiltshire Street as soon as I cleared the property.
Sir, I understand this, but I think we're getting far afield of the issue.
I'm
at
just
hand.
trying to
This
defend.
is- I understand.
I'm just trying to defend myself
We
from what
allow-
they're saying.
I get it, and you know, people come in, it's a public hearing,
Right.
they're allowed to say what they want to say
Right.
about the application.
Okay.
Most of it is irrelevant to us
Okay.
because really the issue is about statutory interpretation.
I'm just trying to respond
Whether you
to
put
what
up
was.
a tree or didn't put up a tree isn't really going to sway us one way or another. It's
But-
really about what do the
Right.
words of the code say.
I'm just
and
trying to
what's
defend
required.
what was
I get it. I get it.
what was said here.
I
And
understand.
there's very little activity at that property. Mostly what we do there is go there and water the trees and occasionally dig trees up and plant new trees. And that is what a plant nursery is. So I don't understand where the controversy is.
Right,
By one of your sprinklers today when I went to the property.
The problem I'm having with this application and with the opposition to the application is that I'm not seeing code sections being referred to which tell me what happens when a change of tenancy is being sought. And right here, when you read this application, an application for a building permit for any use, building, or structure, so you telling me you don't need a building permit for a use is belied by the actual language in the code. And this is all we're focused on, is what do the words of the code say? So I would love for you to give me something to hang your hat on. And the same with you.
That's why I was asking Dave, like, where is this laid out? Because and I want to just say for the board, this stuff is difficult, right? Because you have a use, it's a vacant lot, and they're proposing a vacant lot. Like, there's no structures on it, so you're not going to necessarily see a build. I mean, David Kirsch kept on saying there was a building permit application, and it's kind of like, but there were no structures, so you don't really need a building permit. And David Gilmartin says, I go to the building department and they tell me to do a change of tenancy, but there's no, you see it's a change of tenancy typically when you have a building and a tenant, and the tenant moves out and the new tenant moves in. So I think John is right. I think it would be nice to just give us the best interpretation of
Yeah,
the
I
code.
think-
need more flesh on the bones.
Well, and I think also we're being presented with all this stuff at this meeting. I for one need to digest this a little bit.
I
a
would
little
like an
bit more.
additional submission from each of you
Yes.
that answers a few of these questions. Is a building permit required for a change of use? That's number one. That seems to me like the biggest one. If a building permit is required for a change of use, then Mr. Gilmartin, you may have something in 330, 181A4. You may. You know, and so then also, if a building permit is not required for a change of use, what is required for a change of tenancy? Or maybe answer both
Or
of those
for a
questions.
new use.
Or
I
for a
mean,
new use.
a new use with no buildings and structures. I mean, that's.
I have a hard time believing that the planning board doesn't care if you change the use and there's 100 cars coming in a day or 2 cars
It
coming in
doesn't
a
matter
day.
whether they care. It's whether
Well,
or not
well,
they have
all right,
oversight.
but I understand that.
It's whether they have jurisdiction.
Well,
That's true, but, you know, you're looking at whether or not, you know, chief building inspectors, you know, have an application here, that's what you're looking at. But just to distinguish, you know, what the planning board would look at, we do have something called a plant nursery. That's why the planning board looks at certain things and raises certain questions, because we distinguish between a plant nursery and, as someone from the public said, and a special trade contractor. Because a special trade contractor is a special exception use in certain zones and everything. So all I'm saying is what we are looking at when we're looking at a use like this is to make sure that something is a plant nursery versus a special trade contractor, because we understand that when you have a plant nursery, you are going to have some trucks coming in. You're going to deliver some stuff. You got to take them off. You got to water. There's going to be some activity. It's not unreasonable to expect that with a plant nursery. We want to do, and they seem to be addressing it, is the whole issue of when something becomes a special trade contractor. Then when you start storing your trucks there, and you're mulching and you're chopping stuff, then it becomes a special trade contractor. So I just want to make sure the board understands the distinguishment between the two.
But a plant nursery is not a special exception use,
It's not.
correct?
No, no,
it's
no,
just like a
absolutely.
pumpkin
Permitted.
farm or a
Permitted use, yes.
flower farm.
Right, and also another clarification I would like, David, you identified agriculture and plant nursery as permitted uses within R15, but we're going from no use to a use.
But
And is that a change of use?
And was this originally residential?
It is. It's
a
R15.
residential.
I can answer.
Okay, good. Well, we're just giving you the question.
If you look at Exhibit 6, that's the letter from Tom White, from the White family, who are well-known farmers in Bridgehampton, Sagaponic, and they talk about having had agriculture on this lot. And agriculture in a residential zone is a permitted use. So is a plant nursery. And that was the, and frankly, a vacant residential lot is a permitted use, right? So it's permitted use to permitted use. And that's what the chief building inspector relied upon in making his decision. Permitted to permitted.
Where's the decision?
It is a vacant lot. It's a vacant lot right now.
No, I mean in the table, where is the vacant lot of permitted use? Where's the vacant lot of permitted use?
It's
just
It's just
permitted.
presumed.
It's presumed to be permitted.
conform because there's.
Boy, and then every vacant lot would get a violation.
Okay, so it is a change. So according to you, it is a change in use from going from vacant to a plant nursery.
I didn't.
You don't.
I said agriculture to plant nursery.
Right, but you haven't. Look, this letter says that agriculture was stopped in 1978 when we ceased growing potatoes there.
But you can't abandon a permitted use. That's what the argument.
Please don't speak from the audience. Hold on.
We didn't disturb them.
Okay. If that's a permit, the opposition to the application should include these things.
Well,
That should be.
you get notice of this, right? As a neighbor, you get notice of this, a short time before. So you're trying to throw something together and come in here.
And the burden is also on the applicant. The burden is on Mr. Kurst to prove that this was
I
issued.
understand, but it would be
I
nice
know.
for
No, I'm
people
just saying.
opposing an application to put together
No,
a
absolutely.
concise,
But we haven't had a chance to read your presentation
and
to the
this-
board
I mean,
tonight.
It's just the exhibits, right, that,
You're a fast reader.
and we'll come back and we'll do an additional submission. You know, we don't get a lot of time in this heads up.
That's- Yeah, I think this should be held open, and I would like to see a brief.
Okay. We can do that. The one thing that I do want to clear up is that there's this underlying, sort of joking that there's no permit for the change of tenancy, and I believe you all have it in your package. It was sent. The building department sent their entire file to you, and it's in there. And Mr. Kerr said he saw an application for a building permit. That's what the building department uses for the change of tenancy. And if you look sort of middle of the page, it has it, has a checkbox, commercial change of tenancy use. It is a little
Sorry,
confusing.
Excuse me 1 second. If you're looking for the submission he's talking about, it's in your submittals.
Okay.
It's in the big
We
packet.
haven't, it came to our desk, it came to our table tonight, so we don't have that. We haven't
But
looked
it
at
is, it's right here, it's right here.
It's
This
your
is-
it's the second, it's the second
This is, so
page.
this is the whole building department file, whenever anybody appeals something.
Okay, but this was given to us tonight, correct? I have not looked at it. Okay, but,
Dave,
I-
may I just?
Sure.
Same question I asked the prior presenter. What is your view of what you think a proper finding should be from your perspective?
That you uphold the permit and you uphold the certificate of compliance. Everything else, like has been stated here, is enforcement issue. Right? But I'll tell you, the property was inspected at least twice by the building department prior to the issuance of the permit and then prior to the issuance of the CO.
That's irrelevant.
When you guys, I guess Mr. Grealish, when you did the pre-submission to the planning board, at that time, did you have like buildings proposed? Cause I feel like I did see something.
I've never proposed any buildings on the property. I don't need buildings on the property for a plant nursery. I just want to plant trees there and grow, plant trees and
Because in one of the planning board resolutions.
trees come and go. Yes, there is equipment there. There has to be equipment there to load trees, to plant trees. But I've done everything that I feel that I finally just said this was too much for me to handle, and at that point I just hired David to deal with it because it was beyond my capability.
this is a smart move, I think.
Katie, I believe it was the shed that was the triggering event for site.
Yeah, no, because I just wondered if anything changed.
There was a shed on the property
Which
that
you
I did-
removed, as
I
I
removed
recall.
as soon as they told me that the shed was not supposed to be there. I took the shed off the property.
Okay.
And every time they've asked me to do something, they asked me to close off County Road 39. I immediately planted trees along County Road 39. So every time any code enforcement or anybody has asked me to do something, I have complied.
Okay, there seems
So-
to be some, feeling on the part of neighbors that there's a lot of traffic there and everything else. I mean, that's not for this board.
Okay.
But you've got neighbors here who are concerned. It's always good to speak to neighbors,
Right.
see if you can work stuff out. Separate and apart from what we're considering, which is whether the permit was issued correctly or incorrectly.
Right, I think
Or
that's the
code-
main key.
Right.
But there are other neighbors that are not present that are for
Okay,
for
and
this.
I appreciate
And
that.
I have
but-
letters
another
from
question.
them. I have
Okay.
letters from them supporting me.
Okay.
I have another question. Okay, so another thing I'd like you to address. It seems to me that there's confusion as to, is it a change of tenancy? Is it a building permit? The code says that a building permit will not require a site plan. Everybody's calling it a change of tenancy. The application is for a building permit. That may be why we're not seeing an actual permit, is we're seeing the certificate of compliance in relation to the approval of the change of tenancy. I would like to see something from you guys discussing that,
I
because
agree.
that may be what it is. We may be calling it a building permit in the code. The application is called an application for a building permit, but what you get is a change of tenancy. Is that the same thing?
well, you know.
I mean, you don't have to
think
answer it off the top of your head.
well,
You
I
have
think
to
they
put it
use
in a
the-
paper.
You know, it's a confusing form.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, and I would like to, you know,
The heading of it isn't what it actually is.
so
But
it
the
may be that the change of tenancy is in the nature of a building permit. Although you're not building a building, because the building permit could be for a use, a structure, or a building.
And I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
the building permit does cover use, building, or structure. So, yeah, or structure, right. Anyhow.
I can't be the first one. I can't be the first one that has taken a piece of raw land and started a plant nursery. So there has to be some sort of precedence. It's an allowed use. I have a certificate of compliance.
That's what your lawyer's gonna figure out.
I mean, it's an allowed use, and I have a certificate of compliance. I mean, I've done everything.
Yeah, we're not resolving it tonight,
Right.
we're just asking the questions.
So I guess, so let's summarize that we're going to be asking both of you to clarify your arguments a little bit more in terms of the question of change of use and tenancy and how that gets decided. And then we're gonna take a look at what steps need to be taken when that occurs. Is that, am I summarizing it correctly?
I think so, yeah.
John?
I mean,
Okay.
I've asked questions that I think need to be answered.
Yeah, I mean, and second of all, you know, we really didn't receive all the materials, so we really need a chance to look these over and think about them. I would still stress, you've got neighbors who are upset, and that's not our business, but, no, you don't have to respond. I'm just saying, they're here, have a chat. Yes, David?
One comment I'd like
Yes.
to
Yeah, you have to come up so we can record
I
it.
wanted to make sure I was allowed before I came up and sat down.
No, you're allowed.
I think, you know, I'm sure Ms. Darwin would advise you as well, and you were as offended as I was. But your opportunity here is to make a decision as if you were the building inspector. So the idea that you can't say site plan is required, that's just not the case, and the law is very clear on that. It's 267B1 of the town laws. I'm sure your counsel would have advised.
Except that I don't have to follow through, right? We can go do something else with the property then, right? This is.
Well, if it's a change of use, you're gonna have to go follow through. on the-
What David means is we can't render a decision that says, go back to the planning board. We
No,
can
no, we can say
this was issued in error.
No, all we can do is invalidate the compliance.
And then we figure it out.
And that's right, we know what our job is, and then you know what yours
But
is.
that wasn't the representation that was just made about what I said.
Okay.
You can make the decision
Let's
as if
not
you
get
were
into
the
the weeds on
inspector.
this.
That's right.
And if the inspector
This
says
isn't
go to
a-
planning, you could make that same determination.
Thank you.
Right, we're gonna make a determination one way or
Thank
another. I
you.
don't think we need to get in the
Thank
weeds.
you.
Okay.
All right,
this is
no,
mine.
wait a second. Is there
Hold on.
anybody else in the audience or on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, this is yours,
This is
Robert.
mine. How long do we want to hold this open for submit, like,
Well, David Kurtz, can you just come back up? Because
Gen-
the board will have to pick another date, and we
Gentlemen, how long
obviously
do you
want to
think
make sure
we
it
need
works
for
for you, and then
submission?
we want to make sure it works for Dave Gilmartin.
Well, we don't, the next two meetings are full,
I would
so
say, why
we're
don't we
gonna
do,
look to
why
January.
don't we do January 16th? Is that okay?
That's fine by me.
Dave?
David, yes, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna move to hold it open. Are we holding the whole
So
hearing or
the
just
board has
written?
done this in the past. Can we get a time frame for the written submissions so that I can get them to you in a timely manner? So
I
that
would
you
like
can-
the written submissions before the end of the year, so but before our last meeting of this year, whatever that is. So we
Yeah.
have at least a couple of weeks to review them. And
Is
then
that possible?
hold the meeting
Okay,
open until
so-
January
so-
16th.
That is for me.
Dave, is that good by the end of,
Do you think?
by the end of December?
It doesn't need to be tied to a meeting.
No, no, no.
Just pick a
No,
date.
no.
Pick a date for the
Because do you want, I mean, you say the end of the year, so you're talking like December 20th, because the following week is Christmas.
That's
So December 20th, they both have their written submissions in, it gives me enough time, Holly and all, to get you the documents.
Correct.
Time for you to read it.
And then
Yes.
we'll hold the meeting open until January 16th.
16th.
Perfect.
The holdover date is 16th, but I just want to make sure they have a deadline to.
All right, what's the deadline that you both can agree to?
Well,
When's your
December
holiday?
20th?
December 20th.
Okay.
That, your holiday schedule, everything's okay, you'll be able to get
12/20
it?
is fine.
Okay. All right, do you know what your motion's gonna be now?
Yes, my motion
Okay.
is going to be to hold the meeting open for public hearing until January 16th of 2025, and both towns have agreed to have all written submissions to the town by December 20th of 2024.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
That's for number 6 and for number 7 both.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 8 on the agenda. Application of John J. Ferlazzo, 9 Hildreth Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-151-3-85.
You gotta read this one.
Oh, because it was re-advertised.
Yep.
I thought it said hold. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code to legalize a basketball court constructed without the benefit of a building permit. Section 330-6 general regulations that references section 330-11 residence districts table of dimensional regulations for distance from rear lot line from 30 feet to 10 feet and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. Can you
Are either of you attorneys? Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name separately and your address.
Terry Brennan, 9 Hildreth.
We can't hear you.
Terry Brennan, 9 Hildreth Road, Hampton Bays.
Okay,
Did you
Terry.
say
Terry.
Terry.
And the last name?
Brennan.
Brennan? B-R-E-N-N-A-N?
Yes, we're married, but we have separate last
You
names.
know, that was my situation. Yeah, go ahead.
John Ferlazzo.
Okay, John.
Same address, 9 Hildreth Road.
Okay, so tell us about this application.
We have Tracy.
Tracy should be, their agent should be on Zoom. Her name is Tracy.
Okay, who's Tracy?
Their agent.
Okay, I need
She's
to
listed
swear
on the
her in.
application.
Peter, can you find Tracy?
She said she was on.
All right, I need to swear her in.
there she
before she speaks.
Hello,
Hi, Tracy, are you an attorney?
I am not.
Okay, let me swear you in then. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Tracy Shaleski, P.O. Box 674, West Hampton, New York, 11977.
Okay, so who's going to do the talking? Tracy? All right, Tracy, start.
Okay, good evening. We're here seeking 20 feet of your rear yard relief for an existing basketball court. We meet all other setback requirements and are compliant with clearing limits. The court is completely screen fenced with screen planting on all 4 sides. This area was chosen because it was an already disturbed area that allowed for the least amount of grading and tree removal. It was also the least intrusive area for neighbors. The property to the north, 7 Hildreth, also has a hoop and a court in their driveway. The property that lies to the east, which is the rear yard property line, is owned by Town of Southampton. It is vacant open space. The land behind our property is slightly up gradient from our lot, so if there were any runoff that got past the screen planting, it would not be intruding on town land. Mr. Ferlazzo installed this court for his 3 kids and his grandchild. They are not full-time residents, so this wouldn't be a constant activity. Even though noise isn't a concern as far as basketball is concerned, I wanted to add that. And I'm open to any questions you might have.
Helen, this is your application. Do you want to start us off?
I did come several times to see this property, and I think you guys did a beautiful, beautiful job. And I'm also very impressed by your short but succinct, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Finally.
I also went to see the property. This is set way back.
Yes.
I mean,
As far back
it's
as we
as
can
far
go.
back as you can. It borders on vacant land. Any runoff that is caused by this is going to be your responsibility because you have to keep the water on your own property. So I have no problem with this. Does
Neither do
anybody-
I concur.
Anybody else have any questions?
No, I agree.
Okay,
And
is
you
there anyone in the
enjoy-
audience who
enjoy
wishes
it.
to be heard on 9 Hildreth Road?
Caesar.
So,
Hold on, Helen. Somebody's coming.
Somebody's coming. Okay.
Are you an attorney?
I need to
I have to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your name and address.
Caesar Vinocur. V-I-N-O-C-U-R.
V.I.
I'm the neighbor next door.
Okay.
Everyone is very soft-spoken now.
OCUR.
So you have to go straight.
The first name again?
Caesar.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're a neighbor or an engineer? Or the engineer? Their engineer. No, you're a neighbor. Okay, you're doing this as a neighbor. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, neighbor.
No, check. We are delighted with all the renovations and the additions that the Ferrazzo brought to the neighborhood.
Okay.
And actually, we are very happy.
Okay, so you have no
And
objections?
We feel grateful.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lovely, you did a lovely job. Anybody else wishes to be heard on this application? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 9 Hildreth Road in Hampton Bays? Okay, Helen, it's up to you.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing. Leave it open for written submissions till November 22nd with a decision on December 5th.
Second.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Manzanilla.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
The decision date I didn't hear.
The 5th.
12:05.
Do we come back to that?
You don't,
You don't
have
have to, unless you want to.
Yeah, you can sign on and watch it.
You can watch it.
Read them at
Some
the end.
people do.
We do it at the very end.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're up to.
Moral support.
Yeah.
All right, we're up to
Better than a move.
number 9. John?
Okay, sorry. Number 9, application of Eric J. Belfi and Tara Belfi, 106 Cold Spring Point Road, Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-155-1-30. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. For 1, a proposed 2-story dwelling, Section 330-84 height pyramid for a total pyramid encroachment of 1,989 cubic feet on the east side of the property. Section 330-83K yards for a proposed required rear yard setback of 20 feet to the covered front entry of the dwelling where a minimum of 30 feet is allowed. For a proposed required rear yard setback of 25 feet to the dwelling where a minimum of 30 feet is allowed. 2, for a proposed swimming pool, Section 330-11 Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations to be located at front yard setback of 66 feet where 70 feet is required, and Section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards for a proposed in-ground swimming pool to be located within the total required side yard, and 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for an elevated equipment to be located closer than the allowable 10-foot setback and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Greenberg Road, 2317 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, New York. Before we get started, I just, with the legal advertisement, I believe it's wrong with the yards. It says for required rear yard setback of 20 feet. It's been established by this board, and I have 2 decisions that show it. I have the earliest decision that this board did that I could find that was in the area in 1991, and then I have one from 2017. And the gist of it is the Dug Canal isn't a water body such that you would switch.
It is not?
It is not a water body such that you would switch the front yard and rear yard. So both of these decisions.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
I told David he has to confirm that with the building department because it's not something that you guys decide. It's something that
No.
the building.
I mean, but that was my question as to which is the front and which is the rear with the Dug Canal. So what you're saying is, let's.
The canal doesn't change the front yard.
No, the front yard is Cold Spring Point Road. And interestingly enough, the reviewer, who I believe was Marjorie, got the numbers right, just the yard wrong.
Okay,
Right,
so let's go through exactly what we're supposed to be looking at here. Go through the description again and tell us where you're changing.
So it says 83K for proposed required rear yard setback of 25.
It should be front yard?
That should be front yard.
I wouldn't
Okay.
change them until Marge looks at it.
No, but I just, for my reference while he's talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and
Okay.
then 20 feet to the covered front entry where 30 is required, and then 25 feet to the dwelling where 30 is required. And the difference is the rear yard setback in this is 70, front yard setback 60. So to the 30 indicates that Marge had the number right. I don't know if it was a typographic error. That
Well, and it's also possible, because I did mention, David, I mentioned your comment to Candace, and we were saying that we thought for the swimming pool, where she wrote to be located with the front yard setback, that was actually the distance from street setback that this board has been looking at.
But you're saying it should be the reverse.
It should be distance from street
Street.
setback, not the reverse, it should be distance from
Okay.
street. But again, David can go over this with Marge. Because Dave called me about this, and I was like, tell the board, I don't decide what the yards are, but I did find a variance on the street that recognized the Dug Canal as the front yard. It was at 110 Cold Spring Point Road.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're saying you found something that was contradictory to what David found?
David found interpretations from this board that the Dug Canals are not necessarily seen as front yards, and I think that sometimes that's true. It certainly was.
It's this Dug Canal, because these are properties on Cold Spring Point Road.
Again,
On this particular
talk,
canal.
talk to Marge.
So, I'll have to deal with Marge on
Yeah.
that then, and we'll figure that out.
So we're gonna need to have, so let me ask you, we re-advertised, do we have to re-advertise again?
No. We re-advertised this because initially he had a conforming house with conforming setbacks and just pyramid, but then when he went to the conservation board, they moved everything around and reconfigured it. So no, we don't have to re-advertise this. Everybody has seen where the house is, where the proposed improvements are. It's just a matter of what yards we're calling it.
Okay, so we're gonna get clarification from.
Davis, yep.
And you're gonna get clarification
I'm gonna get
from
clarification,
Marge.
and then I just want the decision to,
Yeah, but notwithstanding, we know where the structures are
yeah,
proposed.
I mean, that's,
And where Marty wants them, right?
yes, that's.
That's most important.
Yes.
Well, that's the guiding, the guiding force here is the con board. By way of background, this board gave pyramid relief to this property in 2018, and if you remember, I made a slight joke that this is the only property owner in the Hamptons that reduced the size of a permitted dwelling, right? And the prior version of this was approved and had a building permit, but they wanted to do something different. And it is a fairly significant reduction. We're looking for 1,989 cubic feet. You had already granted 2,700 cubic feet. The house is 1,910 square feet, and the prior house was 2,390 square feet. So he's reduced the size of it. We had come to this board, we had made the presentation because we believe the reduction would have been okay, and we would have gotten a sign off on it. But the con board got another bite at the apple and pushed us closer to the street. So that's why this other relief has now come
Is there a
into play.
change in the pyramid relief request?
No.
Okay,
No,
so
it's-
that stays
it's-
the same, but the setback.
Yeah, so the front yard
clarifications.
setbacks and then the pool.
So the pyramid's still in 1989.
Yes. Right. The only other, the interesting thing is it depends on what reviewer you get for what gets identified as the relief. But if you look on the, so this is going to be the, I have to look at this, I'm not that good. If you look at the east side of the property, right here is where some of our air conditioning units are going to be.
Where'd you point to?
I'm sorry, it's right there, I circled it.
Okay. Air conditioning units?
So the, our initial application had those on it. Art Gerhauser was the reviewer, and they didn't require relief. Now Marge has said we need relief for that. It's, according to Marge, it can't be more than, it has to be 10 feet away from the property. That's actually 8 feet. So that's the number of the variance that we're looking for there. This property is really challenged. It's in an R40 zoning district. It's 9,386 square feet. And then, you know, this is a really great illustration of the property that we have to give up for the non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. And that's what's shifting everything forward. You know, if this were a lot that wasn't impacted by wetlands, we could certainly have it back. But that's what has pushed us forward. I also think the other compelling factor is that they're reducing the size of everything. Cold Spring Point Road has many two-story dwellings. It's an area that I would say is mostly converted. It started out as like a cottage beachy area, and has turned into something. It's a pretty spectacular spot. I was there this morning checking the sign.
It's beautiful.
Amazing.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
And the area is really being converted, and I think this is within keeping. It's you know, much smaller than the other structures that certainly the new ones, you know, substantiality. You know, you are directed by New York State law to consider the totality of the circumstances, and I think those three major factors are really what increase the size. The third factor, forgive me, is that it's located in a flood zone, so we have to raise it. You know, I think it's either in a 6 or 8, so we have to raise, and that's really the reason why we end up with some pyramid relief and the narrowness of the lot. I don't think there'll be any impact to the environmental condition of the area. We're obligated under law to put in an IA system, so it's an upgrade from the 1960, I don't know if I can even call it a system, right, that existed. So it's certainly an upgrade, and I would say those three large factors create the hardship.
So it's a vacant lot right now.
Yeah, the old house was knocked down. There was a house there.
Yep.
We had gotten the permit to do that from the condo.
Yep. I think this is a challenged piece of property with the wetlands and everything else. So the 8 feet with the AC units, is there, I can't remember, was there a house right next to that, is that property?
Oh.
Because.
That neighbor,
yeah.
That neighbor has given us a.
Okay. So my question is that AC units make a lot of noise. Is there a proposal to vegetate, to dampen the noise?
Oh, yeah, there is a pretty, you know, Marty required a pretty significant.
Okay.
I hope I can find it quickly, yes.
Sure.
And this was approved.
John.
Who's that letter from? So close. Okay.
Like my iPad better. We can see it.
Yeah, so there are, here are the units, and there's plantings proposed
Okay,
there.
so
that was approved by the.
Okay, so that's not something we have to condition because it's already a condition.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And feel free to condition it.
Okay, well, maybe Katie, we would condition that just because of the sounding.
Screening the equipment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can
It's
mention
required.
it. We can just mention it. Okay, all right, so other than the fact that we need to get some clarification as to what's the front and what's the back, and I assume that can be done, Katie, in submissions?
Yep, we also need, unless somebody has it, we also need a revised survey. The only survey that I could find was like the one that was attached to the con board.
I
And
have
it's
this tiny little, like, survey.
I'm happy to give up some paper. And this has the con board approval on it.
Yeah, like I said, we had it, but it was very small.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I have an old one anyhow, I'm not even sure I got.
Pass that down to the lead. I should put 2 in that file. And then everybody can see what it is. Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Goes to
John? John.
Yes.
Here, put that down to John too.
John.
John, another John. Another John.
John Letter, do you have the envelope for this one?
The what?
The envelope for all of this?
What do you mean?
Like to put all the originals in?
For this? What?
It's in your tray.
Yeah.
Should be in your
Well, I'm just asking because the agenda says John, and I wasn't sure if it was John L. or
Oh,
John
no,
R.
it's me.
It's John L. It was clarified on the new agenda.
Oh, all right.
No, this one, oh, they're all.
Yeah, I want all those originals in that envelope.
I got one.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were giving me something else.
No. Okay, John, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 106 Cold Spring Point Road? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay, John L.
Okay, I move to close the public hearing, hold it open for written submissions to November 22nd with a decision on 12/15.
Second.
12-5.
12/5, sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonough.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redhead.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very
Thank you
much,
very much.
David.
Thank you,
See you in a
David.
couple minutes.
Oh. This
Number
is your
12
day.
on the agenda, application of Joseph G. Wagner III, irrevocable trust, 13 Lakeview Court, Eastport, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-349-1-16.2.
Hello.
Have we sworn you in before?
Yes.
Okay. So just state your name and address again for the record.
Joe Wagner, 13 Lakeview Court, Eastport, New
Okay, Mr. Wagner.
York. Okay. The last time I was here, you guys wanted to know some of the encroachment numbers on the garage that I wanted to build, and I didn't have them. So I went to my architect and I asked him to give me those numbers.
Okay.
So he came back the day that I was supposed to come here, so that's why I didn't show up last time.
Okay.
So I brought them in,
Okay.
and I was advised to do a little more. And I went back to him, and just today, he handed it back to me. And he told me that the numbers on the first batch that he made, on the west side encroachment, were off a little because he forgot to take in the roof angle. So that paper with the correct numbers on it, you don't have now. I have some in here. I don't know if you want to do that now, or if you want to adjourn it for another day, that's okay by me.
But you have plans in there? And what is the note? What is the number? I mean, you don't want to have to keep coming back to us.
I mean, you could do it as a written submission, but we should get a sense of how much it is and whether we're gonna have a problem with it, so.
Yeah, what was initially proposed was 2,114. Then you submitted this single page plan.
I'm sorry, what was the original again?
It was advertised for 2,114.
It's come down from the 2114, right? I assume.
No, the total encroachment is 2114. At the setback the garage is now, which is roughly 2 feet from the north and 2 feet from the west. It's 1.8 feet on one side and 2.2 feet on the other, so that's why I just kind of roughed it out to 2 feet.
So you, as I recall, you're replacing an existing garage.
Yes.
It's gonna be the height of the old, and you're using the same setbacks on the new garage as you had for the old garage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we wanted you to look at, could you meet the setback of 10 feet versus the 2 feet?
Right.
And did you look at that?
Yes.
And what was your conclusion?
I was wondering, well, I have some numbers here. So
The reason being that we were looking to reduce the pyramid relief
Right.
requested. And the thought was if we move the garage further into the property,
Yes.
the pyramid relief would occur.
Yes.
So if I move the garage in 5 feet from each direction, it brings the cubic foot of the pyramid to 884 cubic feet.
Now, is there a reason why you wouldn't do that? Is there a reason why you wouldn't consider
No,
that?
I would do that.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Then I think that if you can submit, proof of that. What? Is there? Okay. So I think if what we really wanted to see was whether you could, reduce the amount of pyramid relief. And what you're saying is if you don't do anything, it's at 2114.
Right.
If you move it 5 feet in on
Right.
both sides, it's going to be 884 cubic feet.
Right.
And
which
that would
is-
be a figure that we would be more amenable to.
But Joe, is that what this is? Because this shows all the different setbacks on it, right?
Yes.
Right, okay, so it says here with the 5-foot setback, it actually was gonna be 744 cubic feet. Does that sound right, or is that
Okay,
you have a
well,
revised plan?
Yeah, that's been revised on
Okay,
this.
so you have something new in front of you. All right,
Yes.
okay.
All right, well, we need those
Sure,
papers.
yeah.
So,
Submit that to us.
yeah, and I think we can do it with submittals
Yes.
as opposed to you coming back, because I think that we're pretty positive about the fact we made such a reduction in the pyramid relief request. So, and you want to stick with the 5 feet, is that correct? Because
Yeah, if I
it's
could,
you said that
yes.
it's staged. Okay, I would say that this is something that we could
Let's-
do by written submission.
Absolutely.
And anybody else from the board who wishes to comment on this application? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this application? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to comment on 13 Lakeview Court?
So Joe, we need the new architectural plans with that numbers, and we need a new survey that shows those new setbacks.
Okay,
The
with
five-
the proposed garage at the 5-foot
Correct.
setback on each.
Correct.
Okay.
How long do you think it'll take to get that? I know.
But I forget the first state that I came here, and I just got, it was like 2
But you
months.
said that he's
He's
prepared
back.
some stuff already.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically here, so I just,
All right. How about we put this off until January? Do you think
yeah, that'd be fine.
what do you think? Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
All
In
right,
the meantime,
so-
I'll bring
Just for
the
written
paper.
subs, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna make a decision in January, but we need written subs in advance.
Okay.
So I would say a decision the second week in January
Okay.
so that we can get the written subs in to
In time.
Candace so that we can get them before the meeting. Does
Okay.
that sound? And if
Yeah.
you need to adjourn it, you can always adjourn it if it's.
You want the
All right.
written subs January 3rd?
Written submission by,
I would say, well, let's make the decision the 16th so that the written, the subs have to be the 1st or 2nd.
January 3rd.
January 3rd, right?
Yep.
Okay.
that sound right? That sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi.
So I'll make a motion to close the hearing pending the submission of information that was just asked for, the corrected survey, and the final presentation of the setback with the corresponding pyramid relief. Due by January 1?
3rd.
I'm sorry?
Great.
January
Great.
3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry. January 3rd, and then with a decision on 1/16.
Second.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastuni.
Aye.
Mr. Revel.
Aye.
And Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
So
sir.
try to get them in by then.
Number 13 on the agenda, application of Marie Daly, 9 Pine Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-5-5-29.
Yeah, you need to give her a raise.
We all
Big
agree.
raise.
That's a second vote for a raise for you, okay?
I'll keep you in mind, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we up to? Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you tonight?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
All right, now, did I swear everybody in before?
Well, last time we were here, you did.
Okay, so then you're still sworn in, so I don't have to swear you in again. Okay. So who's gonna do the, let's say our names again and addresses just so that we have it on the record.
John Sturkin, 828 Montauk Highway, Waterville, New York.
And you are the architect,
I'm the builder.
the builder, okay. Okay,
Emmett Daly, D-A-L-Y, 9 Pine Road, Miami. Oh, yeah, whatever.
it's okay, yeah,
Marie Daly.
okay.
E-M-M-E-T-T.
E-M-N-E-T-T.
Correct.
Okay, so where are we on this application?
So I think we were here in May. We heard you guys loud and clear about the pyramid relief that you know thought was excessive.
Mhm.
Plans have been totally redesigned, and we're here tonight to ask for 808 cubic feet of relief. There is an existing pyramid encroachment, so the current house encroaches 442 feet into the sky plane.
How much again? Just go-
442, which is on the surveys.
Okay.
The existing. The new house is at 808.
So is the 808 inclusive of the 4?
Yes, yes. So it's additional relief of 366 cubic feet.
Thank you.
That the existing house is old and no relief was required at that
Understood.
time.
I just wanted to be sure if it was on top of or within.
Right. No,
Thank
that's the total. I have no problem with that.
All right, but, all right, so what have you, do we have copies
What
of any of
submission do
this
we have
stuff?
to show that? You should have updated surveys and plans.
That might have been in the package we got here.
We got tonight, okay, because I haven't taken a look at that.
Take mine. I saw. I looked at mine. If you want.
Okay, no, I'll look
The
at
house
it.
was just completely redesigned.
Yeah, okay. So what did you do to change it? Just in your words.
Cut 2 feet off each side. Changed the roof line completely.
Gave up rooms.
Gave up
bathrooms.
rooms.
Give up bathrooms.
Yeah.
Changed.
Moved the bathroom. I
Changed
moved the
everything.
bedroom down to the first floor.
Probably not a bad idea anyhow.
You know, I'm getting old.
That's what I was saying.
No, we gotta keep moving.
Well, that was the whole idea of having the stairs and going upstairs. It keeps you going.
But yeah, we changed, made it a lot smaller. And like John said, we understood what you were saying about the pyramids, and we sat down. Actually, this is a second set. We had another
We
set.
were supposed to come back in September, I believe it was.
We had another
And
revision that we didn't think would provide what you wanted. So
yeah, well,
So we did
went
it
for
again. We actually had another
but
whole
we
set.
didn't have our paperwork together, so we weren't ready for the meeting.
Okay.
And then later in the week, I went and watched the meeting, and somebody a block away was asking for a little bit less than we were going to ask for at the second time around. And you guys said no. I said, John,
need
please
to
watch the meeting. I
make
think we
it
need
small.
to do it
You know,
again.
it's a really lovely neighborhood, and they're small houses, and you just you have to live
I've
within
been
the
coming
property.
to Pine Neck my entire
Yeah,
life.
I know, it's a
Parents
great
bought the
neighborhood.
property in the 70s.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at those submittals, but I think that given what you just said, I think you're going to get a positive response from this board. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this matter? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 9 Pine Road? Okay, so this is mine.
If I may, just,
Yes, go ahead.
I really appreciate the effort you made to hear our concerns and meet them. And I had some concerns earlier that I vocalized, and I appreciate the responsiveness. I feel much better about what you submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm sure when I look at it, I will too. Sorry, I just couldn't look at it before the meeting. All right, this is mine. So we're going to hold this open for written submissions until, where are the written submissions here? 11/22 with a decision on December 5th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Ms. Mastonia?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your hard
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you.
You don't need to
Thank
come
you.
back.
Have a good night.
But
Good night.
you can
Thank you.
Zoom to see, yeah, and it's always at the end of the meeting, as you know, we read the decisions, so.
Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for your hard work.
Number 15 on the agenda, application of J10 Properties LLC, 5 South Valley Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-231-1-30.1.
You're marking your back.
Yeah. Yep.
Do I have a 10?
Good evening. We've been
Very
little.
Enough of you.
very little.
All right, what are we doing?
At the last hearing,
Sorry,
the
I
board
got you.
expressed an interest in moving the pool and the decking away from the parking spots that straddle the line here. We were able to move it back so that it's 10 feet off the line. I mean, 10 feet of separation between the pool and the parking spaces.
Okay, so you've shifted the swimming pool
Yes,
to closer to South Valley, or did you reduce the size?
we reduced the size of the decking. So I think
Alright.
how that was accomplished.
Yeah, significantly.
And then we went to, this board requested, I think it was Anthony's suggestion, to go to the planning board. Planning board reviewed it. I was not there, my partner Liz Vale was there. We said they didn't understand why it was in front of them, but they were happy that there was 10 feet of separation. The only thing they recommended was screening, and believe me, this will be screened.
Yeah, because you've got the
Yeah,
restaurant
yeah.
next door. Yeah.
And happy to have that in the decision.
All right, so screening on the western property line.
Yes.
Screening for the whole property, or just probably the whole property?
Yeah, well, you can see here.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, these are significant trees, which I think he's hoping that he can move. I believe I have a picture. Yeah, that's them in the front.
Right.
They're really significant. And he is extraordinarily motivated to screen. This is South Valley looking at the
Right,
property.
I know.
don't have the ones of the, but yeah, he's very motivated to screen it, so.
Okay. Okay, so they're happy with the separation of the parking of 10 feet?
Yep.
Okay. All right, whose is this? Helen, this is your application.
This application has been on, I think, at least 3 times, and I've mentioned each time that it does not present a problem to me. I've visited many times, and that's what I have to say about it.
Okay, is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this?
I also just wanted to put on the record what we had talked about before, which is that this, and I discussed with David, and this was kind of why this was dragging on for a while. I wanted David to acknowledge that if these variances are granted, this basically supersedes and voids the 3 prior variances to develop the properties together. And I wanted to make sure that he
Understood
agreed to
and
that and that we
agreed.
weren't missing anything.
And I spoke to my client,
They
and
understand.
his plans have significantly downsized, so he's happy.
So, and go through that again. So in other words, they're not being developed together conjointly.
Correct.
Okay.
Back in 2020, variances were granted to do, employee housing and a takeout restaurant, but then that was eliminated, and all of it was kind of contingent upon this property used in part for parking. And because some of the parking still remains, that is addressed in a 2015 variance, but the 2020 variances that required the additional 20 parking spaces underneath the pool. Because that pool's going in, all of those variances will be voided.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That'll be written right into the decision?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, Helen, I think this is yours. Do you want to take it?
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We'll leave it open for written submission until November 22nd, and we'll have a decision on December 5th.
Second.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Esposito?
Aye.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
All right.
Only decision.
Okay, I have one decision. Okay, this decision is for Kristen and Mark Dracos, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-155-1-32. This application is for property located at 101 Cold Spring Point Road, Tuckahoe. Applicants request a variance for a pyramid encroachment on a non-conforming lot burdened by wetlands and located in a flood zone. After modifying the application to eliminate the request for a 3-story house, this board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and the town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-84D Pyramid Law for a total pyramid encroachment in the amount of 893 cubic feet for a proposed two-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot, as shown on the site plan and plans and elevations prepared by Mark Matthews, architect, dated September 10, 2024. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicants have already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises, and is conditioned upon the mezzanines remaining as approved on the aforementioned plans, and the house remaining a two-story dwelling.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Oh, I'm sorry, you said no?
Yes.
Chair votes
No.
no. She said no.
She said no.
Chair votes aye. Okay, can I have a,
Motion to close.
all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Meeting's closed.
Go.